I'm not gonna lie, I did not expect Jonas to get that one at the end, but I'm so happy he did, really proving he is a master of knowledge when it comes to Deadlock. But I'm still disappointed he didn't catch out Raven or Overload or Siphon Bullets.
Wow.
The Raven was devious. You're devious for the Raven one. That was some messed up stuff, man.
Shout out to him though for being a good. Man. Well, the thing is about a piece like that, it works once, because then now anyone ever invited to do that again is gonna know I'm gonna someone really badly. But next time, actually, my plan is we're gonna have Deadlock Pictionaries. If you guys are interested, you can check that out over on DFN 23, because there's no way I'm gonna get it done before next week. You can also check it out over on my YouTube channel at Locked In, which is over in the chat for you guys to see. Hope you guys enjoyed.
Well, I enjoyed that very much, Jason. So thank you for doing that and for, being the people's dick, I guess. That's kind of what you're doing. You're just doing it for.
That's what they call him. That's what they call him, the people's dick.
Jason, honestly, the people's dick Kaplan. Thank you. That's my. Can we get that changed in my lower third?
Because you're doing it for.
Oh, don't tempt production. They will. They will.
Okay. Oh, it's my job to move this along because I'm kind of
You're the responsible one. Man.
We have a show here. This is Deadlock Fight Night presented by Intel. We're going into the money match here. We've got Hydra Nation. They just win. That's what they do. They win all the time. But B&B, they have obviously been improving. We saw a great display of skill from them against melee creeps just in the last match. So is it going to be enough to challenge Hydra Nation in this last money match? And I don't know. It's interesting because Hydra Nation, they really have figured out a lot with their current roster. All the changes have really come into this place now where there's so much synergy. They've really worked out how to play the 3-lane meta. And I gotta say, guys, I feel like B&B is on the right track with the comp, but is it going to be enough?
Well, look,
the change up.
I'm back. Look, I'm back. Jason, he's been taken away. He's been pulled off the broadcast. You didn't see the cane, but it's done. It's done with. Average Jonas, he had some connections. We got him out of here. But
what will we do without the people's dick? I mean, we're lost. We're lost.
We'll just have to compensate in some way because, look, Jonas gets his revenge. But look, heading into this match, I think the most interesting thing to me from the map one that we just saw was that B&B, I feel like, has gotten their identity back a little bit here, where it's like they were kind of struggling for a few weeks, wondering, okay, Hydra Nation, is fully kind of, taking a step up. And then B&B in the last map, they went back to the basics. Like, what if we put Ido on the pocket? And it's like, oh wait, this is actually pretty good. So the fact that B&B kind of went back to some of their more comfort picks, I think does give me a little bit more hope for them in this upcoming match.
That being said, Hydra Nation has been known to target ban player hero combos. I think they've probably done this to Ido before. I would be frankly surprised if B&B get pocket this series. I think Hydra Nation are either first banning or first picking it. Wow, ZP, you just turn your back on me like that? Like it's nothing?
Yeah.
Like while I'm speaking? That's rude. That's just rude. No, but I think Hydra Nation are going to target ban or snipe the first pick of this pocket for the whole series, honestly. I mean, if that's what I would do if I were them, that's what I'd be telling them to do if I were their coach. Maybe they think they can just beat it, but I honestly think B&B will snap it up first pick again if they get the chance, or their first pick of the draft, depending on what that is.
Yeah, we can go through the rosters here, bring up Hydra Nation. Hydra Nation, obviously, a really sick team. You guys probably don't, I mean, if you guys have watched ADFN, you've probably just seen them win. So you probably don't even need any introductions here to these players, but obviously, wait. Why is Calcon Viper? Question mark. Can anyone explain this?
They're pulling it out. They're pulling it out. It's obviously not a troll. It's very serious.
I think Calc has told everyone that his main is in fact Viper and has always been Viper. And I think next week he may be coming back on McGinnis or bringing back the Ivy. But the one thing we know in production is that it's definitely not Abrams. Like, why would we ever see Calculator on Abrams? It doesn't make any sense.
Oh, it looks like Ivy, actually. Like, I feel like Viper looks the closest to Ivy as well. So
Viper looks a little low poly situation right now. All right. Viper needs a little bit of love. Shout out the devs. She's a snake. I mean, she's very triangular.
Well, she's a snake from Wisconsin on top of it. It's a very like Waukesha style accent going on, which is actually kind of a unique voice acting flair on top of it, where it's like you don't expect your down in the criminal underworld lizard to also be hailing from Wisconsin. Just unexpected. But we got the Fight Night history for NA here, Dan, and seeing things evolve, it's interesting. We had the period where Hydra Nation just they fell off for a while, but they came back with a vengeance.
Yeah, they came back really strong. They ironed out what they needed to iron out in their game. I think a lot of it had to do with really nailing the early game and understanding sort of how the drafting needed to be to accomplish that. And given the fact that there's such hero diversity on the team anyway and such mechanical skill, it's no surprise that they're having so much success. And one thing I should also add there too is I know that one of the things that we looked at when Quig left was, hey, they actually lost one of their shot callers, someone that was really helping bring the team together, be somewhat of the glue and really orienting them. And obviously they added Calc, and Calc provides that, and so they filled all the holes. So it's actually, they're in such a strong spot at the moment. And it is actually, what's even better though is that iron sharpens iron. It would all be for naught if they weren't able to fight teams in their region that were also, improving and getting better. And I feel like BNB is definitely showing us that. So I'm really happy to see that we got BNB with their form as is. It should be a good challenge. As long as they can survive that early game, I think that's the most dangerous point. I think they should be good to go.
I think the most dangerous place is the draft for them. That's where I'm kind of worried. I think Hydra Nation is a team that historically is really good at punishing other teams in the draft. They are the most flexible team in North America, and they're really hard to draft around. If you're a team that is too reliant on any one pick, and honestly, I think BNB right now, for me, they look a little too reliant on the pocket. Ido, while he does play the other characters, it feels like the pocket is like that obvious star power choice for them. And maybe Hydra Nation will disagree with me, and maybe they'll prio, getting Bebop out or some of these other annoying characters that they historically have prioed bans on. But if I were them, if I just watched that last match, I would just be like, well, Ido, you had your fun on pocket. It's over now.
I hope you're happy.
Well, there was an old saying back in Deadlock in North America for a long time, which is that you don't give LeBron the ball. And it was used repeatedly to say you don't give Ido pocket. And, that kind of went away for a while, right? Where pocket was no longer quite as much in the meta. But now I think maybe we're back in the era of you don't let it happen. But Hydra Nation, their first ban is coming up here. One thing that's good from BNB is that they don't want to give up Holiday. They're in the EU's idea of don't give up the Holiday no matter what. But in turn, pocket is banned, Dan. They don't give LeBron the ball.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the adaptation. There's definitely a lot of other options to go to, but it's kind of interesting because Pocket does actually sneak through so many drafts and it is so impactful that it kind of makes sense that we should probably start seeing more of a trend of Pocket bans. So what has BNB got to answer with? A Calico, just like going into that heavy playmaker territory. That's probably what we're going to see based on the last draft. A GT opener, that's actually not too crazy. We even saw OneWin do that, if I'm not mistaken, earlier today as well. And they seem to have it figured out right now. So we'll see if BNB follow that trajectory.
GT's been first banned a lot today. That's the reason we haven't seen so much of it. Thank you for the respect. Look at me when I'm talking to you, CP.
Honestly, the chat was like, hey, can you just flip it back and forth repeatedly? I'm just playing into it right now. It's great.
I like the paradox as an instant response to GT of like threatening the swap in. Of course, it's the worst case scenario for great talent is when you get caught super close range and you can't play that distance with the charge shot. I think maybe just a super high prio pick would be the Mirage. I think the Leffa on Mirage is like an insane combo for Leffa as a player because it lets him just play the solo game and yet still be a big participator in team fights. Calico has been another, we talked about it in the last game, how Calico kind of played the Mirage role. I think it's also another hero that Leffa can really excel on with his mechanical skill being so high and his potential to snowball. Also a great hero at diving, great talent.
Yeah, I think the interesting part here is, for BNB, what do you value coming up next? You would think the Mirage would be in play here. I think NA is probably going to value the Mirage a little bit higher than what we saw from EU, which is interesting because EU historically has been, the highest on first pick, first ban Mirage, but okay, comes on in. You get the Mirage out from BNB. Paradox, of course, already off the board, so now you start wondering, okay, what do you want more, I think, on the front line side of things? This is where I'd kind of expect, okay, you've given up Calc on the other end. Do you pick up the Abrams at this point for your BNB? I actually think you do. I don't think you really want to give up the Abrams to Calc. At the very least, if you don't pick the Abrams here.
Dude.
Well, okay, that isn't me. That is not me. The production has gone wild, and just as I'm upside down, we also got Kelvin being picked up right now. That guy's blood's all rushing my head. Dan, what are you making this?
Honestly, not sure what to make of it. Between God, there's just too much happening right now. I got to get a grip. Okay. It sounds like it looks like ZP's got a pretty good grip of like the ceiling.
You're about to those monkey toes.
It's a really good gaming chair, guys. It's like, oh man, like once you connect, you can't leave.
What's that unreleased hero? Is it like the shark or something? It looks like a little shark. What am I?
You're talking about Fathom?
Yeah. He's just pulling a Fathom here, just chilling.
We get the Sinclair out of Hydra Nation. Definitely, people. It seems like that third pick is definitely working out more for people. Like it seems like it's found its place right now. This band's interesting to come on through. I like that we got the Mirage from B&B because they lost the Calico, and we saw that split push was like really important for their macro. So they secured that in the Mirage. Okay, all right, this is gonna keep focused.
I also like the Sinclair as a sort of response to the Kelvin. I think stealing the Kelvin ulti is like another really strong steal for Sinclair that allows him to have that. It's kind of like a huge reason you pick Kelvin is for the ulti. We got to rescue ZP from the International Space Station.
I'm on the vomit comment. That is the DFN middle spot right now. But look, I mean, Kelvin coming in from B&B. I think from what we've seen so far, makes sense. Sinclair, though, coming on in. I really cannot look at the middle picture. It is driving me wild right now.
Just close your eyes, ZP.
Yeah, just close your eyes. Think drafty thoughts. Abramson for Hydronation, though. I do love the comfort picks that Hydronation is able to get here. They get the Abrams for Calculator. I'm starting Calculator because I want to say Young Calc by habit, but for B&B, I can't. Just someone else, please.
What's the response here? I mean, there's like 7 is still in the pool. Although I feel like with the Kelvin, you may want to go towards like EU. We could see something like a Shiv. We haven't seen as much of that in NA, but I think it's an option. Yamato, okay, another frontliner. I think also Lady Geist. Just since you've already picked the Kelvin and you have a GT, it feels like you need to put a premium on those like close range brawlers who can leverage the Kelvin game style. But Hydra Nation so far have a draft that looks very comfortable for them. A lot of like playmaking potential, a lot of stuns on this draft, like deceptively a lot of stuns. I mean, Paradox with the wall silence, Sinclair with the rabbit, and then Abrams, of course, bringing a lot of stun control. So
nice.
It is going to be the Mo for B&B. Mo has fallen off pretty hard, but maybe B&B can make it work. Hydra Nation they could pick Bebop right now, though. I think this is an opportunity to maybe really punish not only the Mo, but the GT. Yeah. Bebop looks great for Hydra Nation for me right now. I'm curious if they will actually go that way, if they like the hero as much. I think they've historically banned it a lot, so curious to see.
Yeah. I think the Bebop are actually quite strong for Hydra Nation right now. You're thinking about the early lane phase. 7, though, also makes a lot of sense in terms of carry.
They needed a late game carry, too.
Yeah. So I mean, overall, pretty strong lineup. The question is, what do they finish off with here? Do they get anything on the support end of the spectrum? Do they, where do you go here? Because teams have kind of got away from the idea of like, oh, you need a Kelvin or an Ivy no matter what. Even though Hydra Nation has played the Ivy in the past, clearly it's not going to be a calc play on the Ivy like they did in that one Cursed Era. But instead,
the Dynamo.
Bring out the Dynamo, and I mean, okay, they did it before. Hydration looked good on it, and why not bring it back out one more time? Where you think to when we saw it earlier today, it even worked out for VP, right? So I definitely think this is probably the right angle to go to.
I can still see
a little skeptical
a good pick
of Dynamo in this game, though. I'm a little skeptical here because I just think, yeah, you have Kelvin, and Mo, but you also have Yamato with the ulti. Okay, it's the Viper. Okay, all bets are off. Actually, I think Yamato's isn't Dynamo insane against Viper because like the knockups and the ult are both really good. Yeah. Although Viper has a long range cancel for the ulti, but there's also kind of just a lot of range. Like Great Talent is probably never going to be in the Singularity. Mirage can probably play outside of it pretty consistently. I mean, Hydra Nation maybe just like the Dynamo. I mean, they kind of played it a couple times and it like looked really great in those specific draft games, but also Dynamo just had good games. Like it wasn't only reliant on the ulti or only reliant on the team fighting. Dynamo has just actually, I think, risen in quality, and I think teams have started to realize you can make this character work. It's strong even outside of the Singularity fight, especially when somebody like Hydration plays it and gets pretty decent farm. It becomes a serious damage dealer and great at the lane sustain in the early game.
Also, taking a look at this, I think we have to talk about the Viper a little bit more in the sense that, I mean, look, this is either B&B has been cooking too much in the background to the point that they have actually cooked themselves, or we're about to get like a full course feast that's heading at us. And I feel like there's not a lot of in between. It's kind of interesting though, because by most people's expectations, Viper has just been seen as a character that's relatively lower in on the power spectrum. And to me, Dan, when I'm looking at this, I'm just wondering how the early lane shakes out here and like what the ramp for Viper is being super effective, on top of the fact that you're picking the Viper into a Dynamo comp where you're a character that likes getting up close and personal versus a team that's going to try to get up close and personal for you just to land singularities, or even just the stomps alone could put you into a rough spot. So I mean, I don't know. We're either going to be witnessing genius or a great flop. I don't think there's a whole lot of in between.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a world where you at least have some lockdown with the Mo and Krill. So like, yeah, Viper's target damage is unbelievable. So yeah, if you guarantee all of that, just with the lockdown, it's going to be really nice. But the thing is like, okay, well, what else do you have to synergize with Viper to like really maximize that? Yeah, maybe if you get Viper in a frozen shelter, but that's like kind of hard to plan for. So you can't really, say that that's a guaranteed thing. And other than that, I can't really think of too much else that BNB really have to set up the Viper to. And also, I mean, there's so much. I feel like again, like the Dynamo feels like a pretty nice counter between the stuns and the singularity. The stuns from 7 as well. There's a lot of lockdown from Hydronation that seems to be a problem for Viper. So I'm trying. I don't know if Jake, you have like some kind of.
This looks like an abysmal Viper game. I mean, like I like there's so much stun control on Hydronation. Like virtually every hero. I guess Calico doesn't have a stun, but everybody else does.
Whoa, okay.
As we're really getting wild here in the draft phase. But honestly, BNB are gonna need to get wild with the Viper here. It's gonna need to be some crazy stuff to make this hero work, because honestly, their draft feels a little bit like lost at sea, spinning in the void. I'm just not clear on like the way that they want to play to win. Maybe this is just like a game plan of like go for the lanes, but they don't have the most group up on the Kelvin. They have a bit of range damage. They have they have a lot. They have actually more than enough damage, I will say, on the team. But I just wonder if they're actually going to be able to win overall team fights. I think they maybe lack a little bit of AoE control in team fight, and Hydronation most certainly do not. I mean, they have a fantastic amount of control, great options for the late game team fight.
All right, CP, what do you make of all this? I know we're all just cogs in the machine at this point, but
the triple washing machine caster composition has actually never been seen before, and quite strong in its own right. But I mean, obviously, when you're looking at this, you're doing the Kelvin Viper lane, and I just wonder how that's going to match up against a generally strong 7 Abrams lane, right? Between 7 being able to set up Abrams charges with stuns. On paper, it feels like something that would be rough for Viper, even with the support. But I mean, look, I think the people want Viper Cam here no matter what. We don't see Viper a whole lot. We want to see either the glory or the destruction in real time. And, my thoughts right now are totally focused on the right lane. We'll see how it pans out.
I just put the house on Hydronation. It's not the most return, but I very low faith in this BNB draft. It's like too much cook from my perspective. And Hydronation are an insanely good team, even if you get into like a decent phase. I think overcooking it is super scary. Cal tried to get something there, just trades a little bit of lifesteal. Takes a lot of damage though from that latent poison.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you're trying to find any which way to make it work in your mind. But Viper to me is the one hero I feel like in the pool that doesn't get played, and that there's probably like there's more than just a good reason for it. It is maybe because it just doesn't stack up at all. Because with Dynamo that wasn't getting played, or even the Warden, we can see that there's the spots where it does make sense and you can make it work. But we've never seen that with Viper, and I don't think it's just because we've never seen it that we can say that is. But it just from like the more like first principle point of view, Viper's just too easy to deal with. It just seems like there's too much counter to the stuff that makes Viper's kit good.
Yeah, I think this side lane, though, is potentially a strength. Ido gets the first kill. He's going to dive deep under the tower. Risky dive, but with the help of Mo, they have the sustain to tank the tower. And I think this is really the lane of hope for BNB. I mean, Yamato and Mo together are incredibly scary, incredibly threatening, a lot of dive potential. If they can get a wild snowball going, they could blow the game wide open. And I think that could create the opportunities for Yams and Poppers to also come online, for maybe even Fishcake on the Viper to make something of this game. But elsewhere on the map is the key for BNB. I think they need to be at least doing decent in the other lanes, allow this Yamato and Mo to really snowball and get rolling.
That'll be really fun to see. I really hope that they're able to do that. The Yamato Mo combo is really, really nice. Nice way to secure some Yamato dominance. And, one of the things that, we look at right now, especially is this mid lane. It does unlock a lot of the map. And the GT Mirage, you can see that that's respected by B&B. They're really putting, I feel like, their strongest foot forward here in terms of lane control with the damage output and like this ranged superiority that you get with that combination. And there is Dynamo Calico, so it's definitely no joke, because the sustain there is pretty insane from Dynamo Calico, and like the setup from the Dynamo with the knock up as well is really nice. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But from the range point of view, Jake, I feel like B&B should have the edge.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they can maybe play at range, but I don't think Hydronation, I mean, as much as they have the Dynamo, they don't necessarily need to play at that range. Like, they have Abrams, like, who will eventually build Phantom Strike. They've got Flick, who's, I think, going to be a key playmaker on the Paradox to catch people and get those initiations. Not to mention somebody like Sinclair already sending the Divine Barrier, though, going to keep Mo alive. It's the combo, though, big threat of turnaround potentials here. So Hydronation got to be cautious in this lane, especially before they get their ultimate online.
Good early damage there on that Guardian as well. So doing a good job on this harass.
Oh, parry by Ido under tower, putting a lot of damage down, I think. Did I see that, or was he parrying a creep? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. But in terms of the damage on the tower, though, it is definitely pretty solid. And Hydronation, definitely, they've been really consistent of late. So it's good to see that B&B, take an early lead on the Souls. They are getting some tower damage. We're not really seeing... I feel like I'm not seeing any signs that are super concerning just yet in the early game, at the very least. We'll see, obviously, how things go once we get some more abilities online. But so far, doing a good job in getting the pressure on and not really losing any lanes too hard or really at all at this point.
I mean, if you're going to run this cheesy draft with a lot of late game carry potential, you need to have solid lanes. And so far, they're doing that, right? Like, they're checking the box they needed to check. I think there's still, more to be done, frankly. But this is still a winnable situation. A lot of pressure on the Mo. Copied combo as well. Beautiful catch by Sinclair and the wall. It's a very risky dive, Ido. He's got skills. He's getting circle kited here on this cover. Fantastic by Sinclair, juking that. Now it's Yamato under pressure, being dove by Paradox. Trying to bait the parry, but Flick will not bite. Really clean play in the melee duel.
Yeah, I just love the mind games there. Oh, and he still gets the kill as well. That's actually so awesome to see. From Ido sticking out there. You said he's got the skills in more way than one, and there's a combo as well. Might get another one off of this, off the flying strike.
Rocker?
Can we finish it off, Mo? Yes, we can. Not before being turned into a rabbit. Very cute. But there's the GT. Oh, that's chunky damage in mid as well. B&B, they're brawling, but it's actually working out here in the early game.
Yeah, still the fact that, that Rocker is able to make that trade on the Sinclair, I think really reduces some of the snowball for B&B. That was their Yamato ulti, so there's going to be a moment of slowing things down a little bit. That GT ulti nuking in the mid lane, though, is pretty scary. Hydration and Lefa would love to fight around Singularity, but with this low HP, it might be too difficult.
The rabbit action there. As Sinclair puts the pressure on, but you got to remember too that who's kind of pressuring the tower, who has more control of the lane, is actually B&B here. This Yamato Mo combo. Although they're good at doing some damage on the Yamato Mo, they can't hold that thought. Oh no, the combo onto the combo. Oh my goodness, the Sinclair is so annoying. Will we get out of here though? It's not looking very good. Gibbs goes down, and that's going to leave Ido quite vulnerable here. He's going to have to back out. Ult's coming up in a couple of seconds, but doesn't want to stick around.
I wonder if the copied combo gives you that permanent health on Sinclair. I feel like it should, but I just don't know if it actually works properly.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's a fair point.
It's kind of a sick scaling, like little permanent scaling off the laning phase. You're not mad at that, especially on somebody like Sinclair who likes to get in the mix, likes to be, kind of tanky in the late game. Get more value out of those ultis.
Well, back at it again. And I'm wondering if the fortunes are shifting at all on this lane. It still feels like for B&B, they just want to get to the stairs, get that, Mo damage on the tower. And here again, jumping in. Nice timing there between both of them to be in the right spot to maybe make something happen, but otherwise just keeping the pressure on. In the meantime, I'm looking at the tower damage, and it's actually looking like generally the Guardians are not taking many hits at all on really any lane at this point.
Yeah, I think Hydra Nation have started to repush these lanes while Mo was getting that early pressure. Now they know, right? With the Guardian low, they've used that HP as a resource. However, full HP Mo, full HP Yamato. Rabbit Hex is going to stall the push for the moment. but it's clear that B&B want to push this advantage. Whether they're going to be able to do so successfully, though, still in question, as the counter pressure from Sinclair is pretty significant, especially with that assistant behind, right? Like angling into the Yamato, very scary on the corner.
What's interesting too is that this is the lane that is by far doing the best for B&B, and if they can get that tower down, and they've done a good job getting it low, if they can get this down first, that is going to be a really nice swing, just in terms of the options to take initiative. But okay, gotta be careful there. Gibbs on the way out. Oh, okay, catching GT. There's a singularity. Is anyone getting caught by that? No.
GT flew away. GT jumped out of the singularity and escaped. Leffa now caught by the Spirit Snare and finished off. What an outplay from Poppers on the Great Talon, dodging the singularity and turning around. Hydration and Leffa have been dominant players pretty much as long as we've been running DFN, but in that fight, it's Poppers rather on the Yamato, or on the Great Talon, laughing all the way to the bank.
And that's timely too, Jake, because in the meantime, a couple kills coming in from Calc on the right side lane. That's going to get this. They're probably going to get this. There is players on the rope here. It's a couple players on the rope, but they're not going to make it there in time. Now, what's interesting is that B&B can start to focus on the left side, but going to get a gank attempt here, finding him by the Sinner Sacrifice. And
Resto lock it?
Yeah, Leffa not going to be able to survive that one. And they get a nice bit of gamba and on their way.
Still, players are coming to this location. They want to fight it out. Sinclair looking to potentially threaten a trade here, but Yamato a little bit too scary, especially with Great Talon waiting in the wings. Still, I think the fact that this game is like pretty even, I still feel like this Hydra Nation draft is just much more stable and solid, and B&B are much more reliant on some kind of like cheesy playmaking. Viper could potentially get like super overfarmed. I think that's what you're really looking for to make this a decent game. I mean, the Vitality Rune is nice, right? It does allow you to maybe get a little bit more aggressive with your dives in some of these lanes. But Calc with that tower down, now starting to get active, coming in, bringing yet another stun into this left side lane. A lot of control available here in the lane for Hydronation.
Yeah, Hydronation really putting focus on this left side. That earn up. Ooh, just pummeling Yams. Take him out. And 3 players here still for B&B, so they could still make a go of this one. As they continue to fight and they try to lock down these players. So be really careful though. Assistance coming on through. And Leffa's getting comboed and is going to get finished off there as well. That's a really nice pick off for B&B. Now, can they get any more here? Getting into some trouble here. Calc is taken out as well under the frozen shelter. And this is going to convert surely into this Guardian. There's the parry. Get a bit of extra damage, just completely ignoring Flick. Don't care about Flick. Want to get the tower. And they get it. And if they can keep protecting this mid tower and keep that one up here, Jake. Oh, it's so close. That would be huge.
Sinclair getting punished for the dive. Oh, and the copied Viper ulti, though, maybe is going to keep him out of trouble. Has 4 stacks on him, but that big Spirit Shield's going to tank all that. No problem. So for now, it's a hold. The B&B did lose their Guardian. I mean, just got dove by Sinclair. Still, B&B with a soul lead, though. So they're feeling pretty decent about this early game. Still a winnable situation. Calculator needs to get a bit active on this Abrams. You know, Leffa is going to have some recovery farm to do after sort of a weaker start there on the Calico.
This urn fight could be really interesting. Like this, the urn fights, it's a skill in of itself, how you set these up if you decide to take them or if you decide to retreat. And so I love this here, just going back, dropping the urn. You forced Hydra Nation to rotate, to respect that you could be going for the drop-off, and you've opened up other parts of the map. Hydra Nation didn't opt to try to continue to pressure that mid tower whilst that urn was being buried across the map here. That's interesting. But in the meantime, we know that B&B love a split push. Yamato getting caught on the left side here. 1v2, no assistance. I don't know that there's a world where Yamato can survive this. It's going to be trying to escape here. Locket's going to be used. Maybe there's a world here with good movement coming on through. The juke is real, Jake.
It's nice from Ido. Takes a 2-man rotation on the TP. Stays alive. Calculator, meanwhile, holding the right lane. A lot of players for Hydronation being deployed to the mid. So both teams going to kind of back away out of that one. Great Talon looking for something with the bird. Maybe just clearing the wave, though, to be honest here. Yeah, just using the global presence. Defending that side Guardian. Decent value.
What's interesting here is that the urn can be attempted again, potentially. And there is a response though from Hydronation. A few players here try to stop this pickup from happening. Frozen Shelter is dropped down by peer content, and that's going to be very helpful here. I know it's going to go down, but can they trade it off? Left is so weak, and there's the pummel coming onto Calc as well. 2 players low here for Hydronation. Can BNB finish them off? They're trying their best. They will take down Calc, but they're going to lose another player. Peer content is out of the picture here. Lefa finally gets taken out as well, and we get the conversion potential there for Hydronation onto the Guardian. They continue the fight. The knockup comes in, and that's the Guardian as well. Big value. In the meantime, we've got BNB. They focus on taking down that right side Guardian. So now Guardians are all equalized.
Guardian for Guardian, but the earn pickup is going to go Hydronation's way, so they're going to have a bit of control over this next objective. And with Hydration having that singularity online, I think this is a fight they are interested in taking on Hydronation. They kind of want the fight to take place quickly. Few ultis not available, pure content in particular without the Frozen Shelter. And if Hydronation choose to bring the numbers, this could be a good fight for them. GT split pushing on the side lane. Very risky position for GT. Looks like Sinclair is also going to take that 1v1 and defend.
Yeah, it looks like they are interested in it. At the same time, there's 2 players there that can pressure the left side lane. Obviously, the Mirage player, Yams, has the ult up, so he can use Traveler to get to the earn fight if necessary. And they create a mismatch there. That's going to create a numbers advantage if he's able to TP over there. And also, we get the Viper in the picture as well, but Viper's not there. And in fact, this is not a good situation on the numbers. It will be Hydration getting the earn deposited. BNB, again, don't have the numbers to really contest it, so they have to give it up. They respect it. And same time, Viper doing a lot of solo pushing here so far and farming.
Yeah, it's decent, but no real damage on the Walker. Rocker is just like too prepared for that, knows the push is coming, gets the defense in. Viper pushed away easily. It's a potentially threatening hero, you know, getting farmed in the late game, but I'm just worried even in the late game, we know like these heroes can scale super hard, but in this level of play, no matter how much scaling and damage you have, you know, a really good team just isn't going to let you press your buttons if they're just locking you down with stun control after stun control. And the bait there from the Yamato makes Calc overextend. Beautiful positioning from the Mo, waiting around the corner for that chase down. Nice fake back there from Ido, who took the zipline knock, but I wonder if that was like an intentional let himself get knocked and bait the chase with the rest of his team ready to save that.
Yeah, I think it might have been. Either way, the result is really good for BNB because it gives them more control too. Because Hydronation had to be like, okay, well, we've got to just hold 2 players on the Walker. We feel like you could be pushing this right now, which gives BNB more control around the map. They use that control to pick up the earn, now cycling across the map to try to get that drop off. And again, Hydronation in a reactive position. They've got to take players. They've got to get them in position to defend the earn deposit spot. But we just get a fake out again because BNB, you know, they've done it before. They might do it again. They didn't look like they're set up for to fight for this.
Yeah, Calc went back in on the side lane, but once again, Mo is waiting from around the corner. Now he's in trouble, being dove on his own Walker, maybe going down. Although, hold on, was that a parry onto the Yamato? Still, full power strike is enough to take down Calc. Swap under tower, though, from Paradox, likely going to lead to the death of the Mo, who's trying to slip out. Is super low HP, is going to be caught by Flick. And there's still been enough pressure on the left side of the map to deny the earn turn in. So Hydronation splitting their resources well. Now Paradox is going to come join this fight. Kelvin wants to get the turn in now. Big fight breaking out here on the left side.
Yeah, just dropping in on that earn. Got some good damage coverage here coming in from the GT player. Fear content gets that stole orb, and he's also going to drop the Frozen Shelter to stay alive here.
Stolen Frozen from Sinclair here, catching the Kelvin, who pops his own now defensively.
A good call out here is Hydronation. They have a big pull right now. They can easily roll BNB, I fear. For BNB's sake, peer content is going to go down, so it has to be a disengage. They are getting out of there. So Hydronation coming out quite nicely after all is said and done here. Still, though, even on the souls overall. And so it's interesting. This is a really even game so far.
Yeah, the fact that the earn turn in goes the way of pure content, pretty huge in that fight. Hydration still not popping the singularity. Have we seen a singularity this game? I think you saw the one that missed, but
missed one, yeah.
It's been a long time. Hydration waiting for that perfect moment. But then again, sometimes holding that skill is, you know, already doing a lot in the team fight, just making the enemy scared to group up, making them scared to commit. And for their part, BNB have been playing very split on the map. I think that's what they need to do. Question is, can they continue that, especially as we group up more teams looking for bigger objectives, things like mid-boss, of course. I mean, now that I think about it, the mid-boss is a scary proposition for BNB. Hydration they have the Rocker with the Rabbit Hex for the steal. They've got Hydration with Singularity and Stormcloud over the top. Abrams as well. I mean, the mid-boss last hitting is monstrous out of Hydronation.
And I gotta say, you know, the split pushing just to sense the macro awareness of B&B and how they are using the urn to bait. They're using it to create opportunities so they can push something else at the same time and then create these interesting decisions for Hydra Nation to have to make. That is something they were doing in the previous game as well. They've clearly been working on that element of the macro play, and I'm loving it. It is honestly, as you said, Jake, it's really the way they have to play this, especially against the Dynamo, but just in general, when you're against high-level teams, you have to force them into hard decisions as much as possible. And I feel like B&B are doing a good job at managing that.
Yeah, I think both teams just content to farm. Hydronation have faith in their late game team fighting potential. And for B&B, I think they really just want to be in the late game with the draft that they've gone for. Question is, can heroes like Mo keep up in that kind of a slow farming game? And also for B&B, can you avoid getting picked off? I mean, there's always the threat of this paradox, the playmaking that she offers. Something you've got to keep in mind. Calico as well. Lefa's been quiet this game, but it feels like he's come back in the soul perspective, at least in a decent spot. Ready to compete, ready to be relevant in the team fights.
I've got a lot of posturing here. Like, you got to be careful that B&B don't invade your jungle. One extra, because it feels like we might get a team fight. There is a potential to catch. There's so much catch potential with Hydronation. Let's not forget all the stuns. But this looks like a good moment that we could bring CP in to get his thoughts on what's been transpiring so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's been oddly even, more so than I expected. I think to a big part of it for B&B's credit, we've seen the return of the Mo Yamato combo, right? Where Ido's been teaming up with Gibbs basically all map long, getting good like picks from it. And we might be seeing it again here. Well, not so much here in the left, where you have Ido off to the right. The swap comes on in, and a little bit more freelance for B&B, but still overloading into the left. And, you know, I just got cursed, Dan. It's like, I'll throw you in. It's like immediate team fight.
Yeah, we'll find another spot for you.
I'll leave it to Noto.
Swap the stuns. Oh, man, Mirage just got bullied in this fight. Stun after stun after stun just pouring into him. And that's not what you want on Mirage, right? Getting hard lockdown. Usually that tornado offers some sort of respite, but not to be that fight.
I like this. A good disengage. You know, you lose Yams, but if you think about what's going to happen in the future here, you've got the Urn defense on the next spot on the right side of the map. So already making their way across there at B&B, kind of thinking ahead. And obviously there's also the threat to that right side Walker. So now Hydronation are going to, once again, try to get that Urn, make its way across, and we'll see how this fight gets set up here. Again, these types of fights, you feel like you value the singularity and the team fighting capacity and the stuns really highly for Hydronation.
Hydronation bringing all 6. They have good lane position. This is their time to strike if they want to go for it. They have everyone. They're clearing the map. It seems like, yeah, no attempt to contest for B&B. They're just respecting the threat of the Storm Cloud, the singularity. I think that's wise. They're going to try and put a lot of pressure on other walkers elsewhere. Both mid lane and left lane being pressured. You need to see a quick response at Hydronation. They do not. I mean, mid walker's down. This is starting to look like that's a really good trade if they don't lose players for it.
Yeah, huge. Bit of a chase there. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough to... No, I think they're going to get out. Yeah, B&B getting out from that mid fight. But there's a fight here on the left side. We'll see if there's a crunch. Stormcloud is activated here for Rokane to clear out all these open positions. And that is going to also isolate Yams. He'll get taken down. So the disengage from B&B, but they did pick up a mid tower, a mid walker, I should say. Uh-oh.
It's going to cost the mid boss, though, Dan. I mean, Kelvin, I think, is going to go down here. Very likely, and then it should be a pretty easy mid boss for Hydronation. Kelvin stalling here is good, though. You know, the more time he wastes, that's buying time for his teammates to respawn. He's kind of wasting a lot of time. Hold on. Maybe actually, whoa. Oh my God, he got away. That's ridiculous. But Hydronation, I think this is good. Don't chase the Kelvin. Prio the objective. You've got 2 key players down. You still have Singularity online. Sinclair split pushing, maybe even killing Mo. Hydration, though, is going to go down to Fishcake at the same time.
And the mid boss is not down just yet. With that kill, maybe there's an opportunity here. Ida's just come online. Yams does not have TP. He's just come online as well. Reju's coming down as well. With a Bolo, the Bolo's gonna... I think the Bolo might be active just in time here to maybe get a stun in. Are they going to be able to steal this? Oh,
there it is.
Steal. That is crazy. I don't know if that was because of the Bolo, but a B&B making it work. The timing could not have been more perfect.
Oh, they're all going to die, though.
I'm going to get a couple. The cleanup is real, but... I mean, what's the preference? Do you give up the rejuve and lose nobody, or do you get wipe, get the rejuve?
Yeah, arguably it's worth, but I think if Hydronation just play it super slow, then, you know, through the rejuve, if they can just like wait out all the creeps and defend and get the jungle, then I don't think they're going to be too mad at this, right? Like, as much as the soul's like a small advantage for Hydronation, you got to remember that's all 3 walkers online for BNB, and Hydronation are still winning the team fights, right? Like, yes, you're getting like the nice steal off the Bola. It's good, but you need to be able to start winning team fights at some point in this game. You need to win a team fight. That's what it's going to be decided by. 7 in a ridiculous position. Rokane 8k souls in the bank. I wonder what he's going to buy out here. Could go boundless. I mean, I think it might just be time to rip a very early boundless on 7. Kind of disgusting, actually, the amount of damage he could deal.
Yeah, that is nasty. And all it takes is that one singularity. Plus,
so he's gonna go toxic, superior duration. Okay, so he has like, I think that's permanent uptime on the 3rd skill with the superior duration and toxic at the same time. This 7 is going to be doing a lot of gun damage. Well, spirit damage as well. Just going to do monstrous damage with his left click. Something that you really have to be worried about for BNB in the long fights. I think they really need to get on top of the 7 and gank him, but I think Rokane's going to be very aware of that, and he has a huge front line to protect him.
Nice combo find again. The CP was definitely mentioning how much that has really been a decisive factor here for BNB, getting these pickoffs, and they're threatening this right walker. After all said and done, yeah, still 3 walkers online, and BB still keeping the pressure on, and with the rejuve push, they are creating a world here where Hydronation have to just keep on defending and defending, and as everybody fans out, and we get pressure on mid and left lane, ZP, let's bring you back in.
Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting how things have been evolving here so far. Actually, a little bit of Mirage versus Calco here in the left lane. The Owl coming in for the assist, being like, please get off the Mirage. But yeah, I mean, I think BNB's been doing a great job just like stalling out to endgame, where I think the later this goes, the better and better it looks for BNB. And also, you know, I on the touch at it in the opening, but the fact is Viper is one of the better heroes in the game at manufacturing steals on the Rejuvenator, and Fishcake stuck to the script, right? Was able to get in with the Petrifying Bola, help manufacture the steal, stop Hydronation from snowballing away with the mid boss. And yeah, they give up trades in the way of things, but with the comp BNB is running, I think BNB is okay with this going late. I mean, realistically speaking, they win these fights if they don't give Hydration a massive singularity, is where they're heading to right now. So in the end, it's going to put a lot of pressure on Hydration to be kind of the MVP here and find a big singularity. But if he's not able to find that, if BNB is able to set up the terms of the fight with, say, a Mo Yamato combo, I actually think BNB has an edge as we head into the late game beyond the scaling as it is, right? So we're really set up right now for a very interesting late game where you just have to wonder, does Dynamo have it in him? Because I think Hydronation at this point will succeed or fall based on Hydration able to be set up for a good singularity.
Ido did just grab the refresher on the Yamato, so I'm going to be a very durable, very tanky Yamato with double ulti in the big team fights. BNB also posturing aggressively on the turn-in, not allowing it to happen for now for Hydronation. Hydronation, though, look to be fighting instead on the right side of the lane, prioing the trades elsewhere. Calc going in even on very low HP does pull Kelvin deep out of the fight. Frozen Shelter tanking a lot. So is Abrams. Wonder if there's going to be more help coming in. I think there is from Hydronation. They want to catch these last kills.
So much pressure coming in here from BNB. They're also taking down the Guardians out on the base Guardians on the left side. Viper does a lot of damage to our objectives. So like this harass from all like sides at once is feeling overwhelming right now for Hydronation. They're trying to mount a defense on this price side at the very least. They'll take out Ido, but they are taking losses elsewhere. There go the base Guardians on the left side. Again, you cannot underestimate the amount of damage Viper can do to objectives.
Yeah, I mean, they have the lucky shot. They're playing like the rat game here, getting objectives, trading. Great Talon would love to get the earn turn in, but is extremely low HP and maybe punished, maybe traded. Does not get the earn turn in. Hydronation winning a fight here would be massive for them. Mo has combo, but so far unable to use it. Turn in goes the way of Hydronation as they look for more kills here on the side lane. Mo desperately running for his life. Think it's going to be too little too late. The rest of the squad is right on his tail.
Yeah, not looking good here for the Mo.
Wait, he's tricky. No, not quite.
Yeah, and it's a rough one too, because if that earn went the way of BNB, you don't feel quite as bad about that. But now we're starting to see somewhat of a lead extend, and now the pressure is going on to BNB's side of the map. And we're starting to see 7 come out. There's the E shift, and also extra damage coming in from Calico. This cake. Yeah, life still here. There might be a way to actually sustain through this with some extra help here. Yeah, it looks like they're going to be battling Calico and forcing it back ever so slightly with the extra assist coming in from the Mirage. That's a lot that you have to use to try to keep Calico off of you. And there we go. We get the finishing shot. So Leper just stuck in a position where he can't fall off, gets taken out. Big focus from Hydronation on this right side now.
Ido just nuked down though, even with the ulti. Shadow Transformation not enough. Buying the refresher, but that's 2 times he's died in an ulti. So maybe the refresher buy not really getting full value. And Hydronation, despite being even, well, they're up 1 number and they're happy to continue to turn that into a walker push. With Mo respawning though, it seems they think better of that choice. Gonna back off, clear the waves, clear the lanes. Still a 10K lead, and BNB, I mean, they're ratting pretty well. Like, they're making this game very weird. However, it still feels when Hydra Nation bring equal numbers, when they've got the squad ready to team fight, they are still very hard to challenge.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. There's like this interesting spot where for BNB to win, they've got to create these weird spots where Hydra Nation's not able to fight as a team, but maybe BNB just get like 1 extra kill more than they should because of a mistake. And then that kind of allows BNB to take a team fight into the base. But if they do a straight up team fight, yeah, that's not going to go well. So it's cool to see that they know what the danger is and they are trying to play around it effectively. But the question is, how long can they avoid that? Because if Hydra Nation can take control of the map, I feel, Jake, at that point, they can force these fights that they need where they have huge advantages.
Yeah, I think this next fight pretty impactful. Mid-boss can be a difference maker. Hydra Nation, I think they've learned their lesson from that steal, though. They probably want to really look for pickoffs, really find a kill before they go for that mid-boss. Bit of jungle up. Not much jungle to speak of, though, on the BNB side of the map. So it may be the boys in blue who look to get active at this moment, look to maybe pressure some of the Gambit on the other side of the map. Hydra Nation, they got a choice to make. Do they want to farm the jungle on their side, or do they want to push? Do they want to look for kills and maybe open up a chance at that mid-boss?
I got to say, though, so far this has been the best look Viper we've seen. It hasn't been a disaster, so that is good.
To be fair, Hydration, I think, did win on it, actually, which is maybe the only time anyone's won on it is DFN.
True. Yeah, I think this will be the 3rd time it's played.
It has not looked terrible in this game. Spirit buff, interesting. Who's going to take that? Okay, it is going to be Hydration, so he'd maybe love to start fighting. I mean, so many cooldowns on Dynamo, getting the Spirit buff as well, a lot of the nuking potential. I mean, Dynamo's a very serious damage threat in these fights. Gibbs is going to pick up the urn. Potentially threaten a turn in here, but it's a long road to that drop off, and Hydra Nation do control that side of the map right now.
Again, I wonder if BNB are going to use this as bait to try to open up the map a little bit and not try to actually force a team fight. Because again, I think they're so aware that they don't want these big team fights right now. I don't think they can ever win one of those. And Hydra Nation, they're just sitting in the middle of the map. They're forcing mid-boss. This is perfect.
I mean, this could actually work. BNB is extremely far away from the mid-boss right now. The Roar's coming in, and they're showing no signs of backing. I think this is actually the right move. You do have Singularity, you do have Stormcloud. The ability of fighting on this Rejuve is actually insane. I mean, see if Fishcake can replicate his success before. He's going to go for it in very early with the Frozen Shelter.
And BNB looking for the Murray moment. Here goes the drop. There's the Bolo. Is it a steal? Do we get it? Fishcake actually gets the BNB once more. Get the steal, and this time getting some of the kills, the opening kills that they need to try to turn this fight in their advantage. He shipped in for Fishcake as he tries to reposition around the fight, start getting that damage in from the side. But there's all players except Peer Content up here. They are steamrolling Hydra Nation, and Lefa and Kalka have to get the hell out of there. And this, oh, what a huge swing. This is such a, Jake, that was a great play by Hydra Nation to go for it, but it backfired.
I don't think we've seen a steal in so long in DFN, and Fishcake has got 2 this game. I mean, he is just hard carrying. If he's not finding these steals, these are very different team fights with very different implications on the game. But as we stand now, I mean, BNB with the Viper, they have ridiculous building damage. They can actually clear objectives very, very quickly. Great talent grabbing the urn. And for the first time, it feels like in this game, there's a pretty serious advantage for BNB. Hydra Nation are on the ropes here. They just have not been able to find purchase with their team fight ultis.
Oh my God, Jay, this is crazy.
They're gonna get a patron knock. I mean, this could be game.
This is crazy. Do they go for it? Are they gonna play it safe here? I mean, you would. I mean, they have rejuice up. They could continue to go for this. The Singularity is extremely dangerous. They do need to get a fight into it. Really, they can't fight against a full team. It's just
you have a lot of rejuice time too.
Once have they? Except the mid bosses.
Yeah, that's literally the only thing they've done is rat and steal mid boss, and it's so far it looks like it might have been enough. still kind of that one last chance for Hydra Nation. There is always the hope for them to find the singularity connection they've been looking for all game. So far, it hasn't come to fruition, though. And now this is Hydra Nation finding themselves in the spot that they've rarely been before, with their back against the wall on the ropes in game one. And BNB happy to slow things down, happy to clear the map. They've got still like a minute or so of rejuve time to work with. Unstoppable on this Mo. So it's basically nothing you could do about him ulting somebody. Pretty threatening.
Yeah, especially considering how much lockdown and stuns and disables that there are available for Hydra Nation. And getting the rejuve is so big for BNB strat because it allows them to have that map control advantage. So it allows them to just continue ratting, and it just forces Hydra Nation to just constantly have to defend, to not have the info on the map to know how their opponents are positioning. It's so valuable for what BNB need to do to win.
Yeah, everything rests on this next team fight, though. If Hydra Nation can get a big decisive win, I think they can definitely swing the game at least back to even here. Yamato soloing on the flank, does have a double ulti, potentially a scary thing to be fighting into. Not sure if the sustain is really going to be there for Lefa. Seems like for now, at least it's a decent trade for Yamato. Calc trying to fight as well on the other side of the map. Out very deep, maybe isolated away from his squad. This is something that BNB need to find and punish.
Yeah, looks like they're surrounding Calc at the moment. Good call out. Calc gets isolated, gets killed. And at the meantime, Yamato occupying a lot of attention right now. That's splitting up the team. Might be an opportunity here for BNB to go in to try to figure out how to make this happen. Ido unable to escape. Big pick off there. Lefa was working on that one for quite some time. There is the Storm Cloud forced out very low here. There it is. We're going to get the ship to try to get him out of there. The quantum entanglement.
So low. Hydration, though, still has singularity. Wants to turn this fight around, needs to turn this fight around. Players are dropping like flies. Looks the squad does find a decent connection here on a few. Is this enough? It seems like it won't be. Big and brawling. Looks like they're going to be winning game one. Only Flick left alive to defend. Weekend Patron being nuked by Viper. And the Viper gets its second ever win in Deadlock Fight Night. The crazy cook from BNB. I lost my house and I'm not even mad at it.
66% win rate. That's crazy. The fact that it actually, I mean, it worked so well with their strat. It enabled their strat because I feel like the one thing that was the problem is the team fights, and the mid boss is something that you have to team fight. It's the one team fight you can't avoid. And the bowler for the steals was just 2-6 EP. What do you think?
I mean, what a ridiculous showing for BNB, where BNB have been on the outs for a while. You know, I think a little bit just wondering, it's like, oh God, you know, what do we do to get back into it? Hydra Nation has just been on top. And somehow, you know, just they went through a haze. You know, they went to the jungle and they were just like wondering, is like, you know, they're seeking the ancient methods of like, what do we do? And
they definitely had to drink some very special tea to cook this Viper up. But they got it.
They're like, we choose you, Viper. And then Fishcake steals not one, but 2 rejuvenators. And the second rejuvenator steal, by the way, was the stuff of legend, where what do? You see them delay just enough with the frozen shelter, and the positioning for Fishcake is great on the Viper. Waits, times the petrifying ball at the right time, comes in, steals the rejuvenator. But also, I mean, just focusing on that one big moment, that'd be one thing, but the macro that BNB did this entire game was also really good. I mean, Hydra Nation struggled to get walkers down. In the end, they only got 1 walker down after a very long period of time, and part of that BNB was just focused more than anything else on lane pressure, avoiding bad fights, and when they looked for fights half the time, it was the Mo Yamato connection, feeding Ido, you know, the old-fashioned way, right? Like, you know, back you could go back a month to CEU doing Mo into Yamato gameplay. And then Pierre, great frozen shelters over the course of the game. Poppers was still generally applying good pressure with the owls. I mean, BNB, they were hard to pin down. I think the word that Jake used a lot was like, they're playing a really ratty style of Deadlock. They were, but they made it work, and there's nothing more ratty than 2 rejuvenator steals.
There's nothing more ratty than a snake, it seems, and that's ends up being enough for BNB. I think also the Dynamo, I mean, it's looked really good in shutting down like the really heavily committed deathball styles, but this just wasn't that from BNB. BNB wanted to split. They wanted to play small numbers engagements. They wanted to pressure objectives elsewhere on the map, and this was a game where Dynamo felt like a D-tier hero, like really just, I didn't feel the impact. And I mean, look at the timing on that steal, right? Calc is like 1 millisecond sooner with that charge, and you don't get that melee connection. It's incredibly tight there. honestly, I think either of those rejuves goes the way of Hydronation, and they may have been able to close out that game.
Oh my god, what a crazy game. Let's look at some of these stats here. So objective damage maxed out by the Viper. I feel like we expected that. With that said, very close in second is Yams, almost the same amount of objective damage. But I mean, we're not really seeing anything like too crazy in terms of
Flick is just a monster, dude. How does he have stats like this? He's like disgusting stats on Paradox. 8, 3, 17, 35k hero damage. Jesus. They lost, man.
Yeah, the funny part there is that a lot of players, whether on Hydronation or off, will always make the note about, Flick is probably, for as good as he is underrated at times in the terms of talking about Flick's Paradox, relative to, say, other paradoxes that we bring up a lot, like, Mikhail S or something on the EU side of things, right? But, I mean, Flick has always done this in terms of being very consistent and high damage, but also, I don't know, I think about this game and, like, how it panned out. I do just think B&B was almost playing a rope-a-dope, right? Where it's just like, keep the game even, avoid major team fights, don't give Hydration any big 3 or 4 man singularities to put the game away, and just let your comp, which I think was better late game, continue the flourish in power. And so long as they kept it even, which they did, they created a really good scenario for their composition to outscale Hydronation in the end, and they did it all the while having really pristine focus on lanes and not even letting 2 of their walkers go down. So I think B&B's game plan was really good, but I'm also very interested to see how Hydronation shifts things up on the next map.
Yeah, I mean, this is really cool. They knew the strategy. They got a draft that worked super well for it. It's clearly an approach that they like. We saw it in the previous game, just a different version of it. Will they be able to pull it off again? I would assume that Hydronation will probably tool their selection out so that it's a bit better to deal with that type of strategy and comp. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. We'll take a quick break and we'll be back with the second match. Are we going to have an upset? Are BB going to take down Hydronation? It is unthinkable, but maybe the unthinkable will happen. We'll see you guys after the break. Welcome back, ladies and gents, to Deadlock Fight Night, the North American edition. It's the number 21. We've been doing this for a while, and we are still presented by Intel, but maybe for not too much longer after today's shenanigans. But with that said, we've got a great finals here for you guys. What a crazy upset for the first map. We had an incredibly awesome strategy executed by B&B, a rally strategy, as Jake was putting it, and they used a hero that, has just been forgotten. Everyone's been sleeping on Viper, but hey, maybe it's a thing. The bowler steals were legit. 2 steals. That's consistency.
Rat Dota has won world championships in Dota, so there's no pejorative for me that you're playing the rat style. Sometimes you gotta just take buildings and don't fight heroes, fight buildings. It seemed to put them in an advantage. I mean, I think without those 2 rejuve steals, though, Fishcake, he's got to be such an MVP for map 1. I mean, we don't give the MVP map by map, but Fishcake is in a serious contender position if B&B can close out the series here.
Yeah, I think coming forward, here's the question. And it's a tough question given what we know B&B is good at, is that Ido was resurgent today, earlier on the Pocket. You don't really want to give Pocket to Ido. But on the same note, when you figure Hydronation, they do think pretty highly of themselves. They do think they are stronger than B&B at a lot of methods of the game. Do you just go down the silly and first ban Viper just because you don't want to deal with this X Factor?
No way.
I wouldn't think so, but I'm just saying it could happen. It actually could happen just to remove the X Factor that they dealt with, because they're like, we can deal with them on anything, but we don't want to deal with this, not now.
For me, the most important pick of the draft, the one that I think if I were Hydronation and you're running it back and you're going to change something, I think it's pick 2. I think rather than taking the Calico, they should have taken the Mirage. I mean, it's like hindsight is 20/20, but I think one of the key elements of the comp was the Mirage of like being able to keep the game in a state where you're pushing all the lanes and you're like having your Mo and your Kelvin just hiding, waiting for somebody to try to gank Yamato on a lane is like, that's wild to me. I think you can only do that because Mirage is creating so much pressure globally on the map. I also think Leffa got off to like a relatively weak start on the Calico this game, and he's typically a powerhouse for Hydronation. Maybe the Mirage is more of a stable carry for him. So that would be my first thought if Hydronation is going to change something. I think they should still ban the Pocket. I mean, Ido looked great on the Yamato, but Yamato's another character you might be able to steal for yourself on Hydronation, or they can steal the Pocket for themselves.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think what was interesting too is that Calc also was trying to make plays because I think he felt like, oh, we got to do something. I've got to try to do something, but just nothing kind of worked out. So he was also not having his best game. But I think a lot of that's down to the style of play their opponents were playing, because I think it just put the whole team in like a really uncomfortable position. And so the decision making was a bit wild. But opening bans are the same. Opening pick for B&B. I mean, they have an opportunity to get the Mirage.
Yeah, and I mean, perhaps they do go for the Mirage here. They ban the pocket, so they still decide, yeah, we don't want to deal with Ido on the pocket. I do think if Viper isn't picked by the mid bans, like maybe you ban it then, just because again you want to like eliminate factors. But now you're at the point of like normal picking. I think B&B can hold off on it for now, pick for power. I do think Mirage is part of that equation, and perhaps the Great. I mean, they go Great Talon. I guess the question is, do you value more the Calico or do you value the? Well, no, they had first pick. So for Hydra Nation, I think they just go Calico Mirage here.
Yeah, well, but I think the Paradox is also insane. Like Flick had a monster game. I think that's important not to forget. The Paradox, like if you go to like a more normal game, Paradox is still insane at stopping Great Talon and punishing, catching the GT super long range backlining. Yeah, I like getting it again. I mean, Flick is just a god on Hydra Nation. I see whatever. I'm starting to drink the Flick Kool-Aid. Why the teammates say he's so good? Because he's just so consistent. The Paradox just doing ridiculous things on this hero. You know, you're expected to be like having decent assists on Paradox, but being top damage by like 10k is crazy. Like I don't feel like we see that type of a stat line ever. And I feel like you just got to give talk about give LeBron the ball, give Flick Paradox. Like that's kind of LeBron for me in this game. And the Mo Krill, okay. So they want to shut down any kind of like ratting craziness. This is another way to accomplish very much the same thing.
They give up a lot of power here though, Dan.
Could be Mirage Calico for B&B if they want it. But the weird thing is those heroes are not so much B&B heroes. I think they will get the Mirage somewhere in these two. But getting Mirage and Calico, I wonder, is it maybe it's fine, but is it an overinvestment in that?
I think you go Calico here just because, you know, Hydra Nation likes running it. You know, it's one of Lefa's favorite heroes. I mean, you could go the early Yamato if you're afraid of it getting banned. I think that's the one thing that could snag B&B here is that Hydra Nation could go to the old strategy of ban out Ido's hero pool. So a really strong mid-round ban would just be getting rid of the Yamato for Hydra Nation. I think you can make the
also grab a third pick.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I think they should grab the Yamato here, maybe even over the Calico, because I don't think Yamato comes back. But instead, they go Kelvin. I mean, Kelvin's really good right now, but I think, Dan, if you're Hydra Nation, you remove Yamato from the equation and make Ido go deeper into his pool.
Yeah, you can grab it for yourself right here, right now.
Calico, they can ban the Yamato. You know, there's like a bunch of configurations now that does definitely create a problem. So I totally see that.
The Mo Yamato lane was insane for B&B last game. Hydra Nation could stag that for themselves right now if they want it. It's gonna be the Vindicta though. Okay, interesting.
Will they ban Bebop? Will we get a Bebop for B&B? Because that's also potentially an option. I don't know if B&B want to play a Bebop, but I feel like Bebop could be really great against a Vindicta.
I like it.
Krill. So I think that's like a target. But again, Hydra Nation could see that and just try to get the ban on it right now.
I think you ban Yamato. I still think you ban Yamato. You make Ido flex deeper into the pool, and then get Viscous. Okay, I mean it is targeted more at Gibbs, but
protects the Mo pick and the Paradox pick for their potential to catch people and punish them as well with the Vindicta stake. I think Viscous would have been super strong here. So I actually do like this ban, but you're right, it does expose you to the potential of giving up Yamato.
I mean, Yamato won't be as strong that they don't have the Mo to go with it, because part of what really made Ido good in the last thing was getting set up over and over again by the Mo. So you're not, and also, as we've said plenty of times before, Mo is also really good at being an effective deterrent to a Yamato too, and like getting Yamato down. So maybe with the early Mo and Krill pick, they figure we don't have to deal with the Mo Yamato combo, and we feel good about our Mo being a strong impediment to a Yamato should they pick it. So maybe that was the calculus here, or given that's their pick, they could just take the Yamato now. It would still make sense.
Hello, darlings.
Okay, so Yamato feels like it's kind of a must pick at this point.
Yeah, surely B&B snag it here.
I feel like, and I mean, I would still really like to see Bebop at this point. I feel like it's, especially to help prevent Mo having a good early game and having like that much like super lane control. I think that could be really, really vital, because the Mo and Krill Vindicta combo, we know that that's something that Hydra Nation are probably going to run. Get a 7 second slot. Do we get the Yamato or do we go a different direction? Because already, guys, I feel like, well, I'm going to pose the question to you. Will we see the same approach from B&B? Last two maps, they went for that ratty style. They were able to do it. There's maybe still an option, but I feel like it's not as strong with the current draft that they have.
No, it doesn't really feel as much as rat style.
Against Mo, it's too crazy. It's like you're just gonna get comboed by Mo soloing. Because you had the Mo last game that you were splitting all these players off on the map. You were hiding people in the flanks. I like that they get the Yamato here. They need a bit more frontline though on BNB. They're kind of sorely lacking. I mean, I guess Yamato can be that, but they don't have real control. It's Seven has a stun, I guess. Mirage has Tornado, but these are like not the best control skills, and they really need. I'm not even sure what it is. Like with
Geist.
Abrams banned. Yeah, maybe. No, I think they get
Geist. If Geist is picked by Hydra Nation, I think Geist is completely good for BNB here. They're gonna they grab Sinclair on the other side. We'll see what the final pick is, but if they don't pick,
could be Geist for Hydra Nation too. I think it's pretty good for Hydra Nation right now.
I think it's good for Hydra Nation because it not only works for Hydra Nation's comp, but it also denies BNB from getting it. Because I think if you're BNB and you are looking for more frontline, Geist is really the main hero left. I don't think you necessarily would want to use a Shiv for BNB. I don't actually really love having Shiv and Yamato on the same team a lot of the time, just in the sense that they're both heroes you want fed and you're only going to feed one. But now they picked in first for Hydra Nation. They've opened up Geist as the final pick for BNB, which to me, I'd like to see it.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I think that or the Shiv do seem like the most obvious options to me. I actually kind of was hoping Sinclair would stay open for a potential Sinclair pick. I don't know how crazy that would be, but yeah, I'm gonna guess.
Could still be Bebop,
Shiv.
but
Bebop, yeah, that's a good point. Bebop's still available, yeah.
You were looking to summon a god, right?
Lash.
Right, none of us have the Lash.
Fishcake is gunning for MVP this series. I kind of like this for BNB. You know what? Like, I was a doubter in their last draft. I still think Hydra Nation have the better draft. I think I still favor them, honestly, because I think BNB, while they played really immaculately, like those rejuve steals, I'm not sure how replicable that was for BNB, and that was a game that they were kind of struggling in until they got those double rejuve steals. So I still have a lot of faith in Hydra Nation, but Lash is that same style of hero of like, you know what? No matter how dark the game gets, we always have a chance to just like crush you with a massive team fight and flip the game on its head. And so Hydra Nation are going to have to play a very clean game to deny that. We know what Fishcake can do on the Lash.
Also, I will say I don't really love the look for BNB right now in the sense that Sinclair has a veritable buffet of great alt clone options where you can clone the Shelter, you can clone the Stormcloud, you can clone, Lash ult, and even at times, I mean, cloning Great Talon Owl can like pay good dividends. So, I mean, the level of flexibility you're going to have with Sinclair in this game is actually ridiculous with the team comp that BNB ended up going with.
Yeah, that is kind of scary. Sinclair is kind of scary. We'll have to see how well it's integrated for Hydra Nation, but in terms of the early game, their early laning looks kind of nice, I feel like. I don't really see any issues there. For BNB, it doesn't seem quite as strong. I don't know, how do you guys read the relative strength in the early laning phase?
I mean, you got Yamato and Mirage who can maybe be pretty decent. Lash, I mean, I guess you can't, like the fact that Lash can't stand on the mid high ground, I think does kind of hurt him, although we don't see that so much in high level play. I am really curious to see who matches up against the Mo in particular. If it's like another Hydration Mo in the mid lane, I think that's going to be the toughest lane overall, since BNB don't really have the strongest laners. They don't have any of the heroes that we've seen be sort of used as counters to Mo in the mid. And so I think we could see mid lane getting out of control. If it is like Calico Mo, that is a freaking terrifying lane. Like the threat to dive under your tower is immense on that lane. And, you know, I'm not really seeing the BNB heroes that respond well to that.
Actually, I think if you put Mirage in middle, Mirage +1, I think you can hold the Mo off at the very least. So like Mo, it's kind of been established that Mo doesn't love laning against Mirage.
Getting farmed on the passive, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I think like realistically, as long as you put Mirage there, and I mean, I think Mirage Yamato could work. I think Mirage even like Kelvin could work. Mirage GT, like there's a bunch of different combinations you can do to put that in middle and give Mo like a tough time. So in a way, if you're Hydra Nation, I wonder if you even put the Mo middle, or you expect the Mirage middle and then you send Mo somewhere else to try and get more value. Because I don't know if you, as Mo, you love the matchup versus Mirage. It can be quite difficult.
Yeah, and I think, I agree. I think Mirage, Yamato, Mirage, even Lash could be kind of nice against that. Because, yeah, I mean, like, Lash can obviously just, like, jump in, jump out. Like, there's a lot of, like, ways to get the damage in, the stuns. And I guess, like, you always have to be worried about the Vindicta combo. It feels hard, for sure, with Hydra Nation, just looking across the draft in general. And I feel like I'm looking at this in a way where I'm like, okay, everything feels a bit better for Hydra Nation. What could match up to potentially be okay against it. That's kind of how I'm looking at this. So it feels imbalanced in that way. I don't feel like BNB has quite the same synergy strategically as they may have had in the previous match. This feels like they're gonna have to play more straight up against Hydra Nation, and that is obviously where Hydra Nation's going to feel very comfortable. So that's a problem.
One thing I'll bring up. No,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh. All right. Well, I was going to say, I think Infernus is going to be pretty important this game because I'm looking at the damage for Hydra Nation, and I think Infernus is a really key component of that. And that's one thing I'm wondering for BNB is like, yes, you can have the 7 ulti and stuff, but Infernus is actually pretty sick at dealing with some of these like static heroes, like 7 when he ultis. If you just like, you get free burn on him in Infernus, you can kind of DPS through the 7. You do reduce his outgoing spirit damage with the burn. You know, even you know, somebody like Great Talon, right? Like trying to be up in the sky and just like pumping damage. If Infernus starts shooting you, you need to start running. You need to like deny him getting the burns on you. And so I am pretty bullish on Infernus if he's able to like not get basically lash ulted. I think he can kind of do a ton in this game if he has like a strong game farm wise, and then avoid some of the key stuns in the team fights. I could see Infernus kind of being explosive here with a lack of hard control that deals with him.
You know what is not going to be as effective, though, the last time we saw it from Hydra Nation is going to be, if it is like Vindicta, or rather Leffa on the Vindicta, right? You're not going to have the dynamic that we had before where it was basically Leffa being server admin, being able to go teleporter to teleporter to teleporter, because side teleporters no longer exist in the left and right lanes respectively, right? And that was a big part of how Hydra Nation made the Vindicta just look absolutely menacing. I mean, a lot of her mobility and using the teleporters is not there anymore. You have to do it the good old-fashioned way. And for how Hydra Nation liked playing the Vindicta, I do think it's going to be a weaker showing than the last time we saw them play it.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I also think that Lash is also a nice, has good options to help deal with the Vindicta. You can kind of like target the Vindicta out. Like, you know, you don't have to necessarily like try to save your death slams or you know, for a big team fight. You could try to get towards the back line, try to catch the Vindicta who's not very mobile, and you don't even have to use a death slam to like have, you know, a good amount of damage just like jumping up to her, and so on and so forth. It's a good option, I think, to keep that pressure on the Vindicta in the back line. So BNB against Hydra Nation, as we go into this, they're up a map, but they're going to have to switch their strategy. The draft is totally different. Can they have similar success? We're going to start things off here. We're going to have a look at the lanes. We'll keep you in here, ZP, to kind of assess what the choices actually are. We've theorized it, but is it going to play out like we expected?
I like this. Hydra Nation, I think they expected the Mirage coming middle. Look at this. Mirage is coming middle, and Mo is going directly off to the right-hand side. And I mean, I think it's probably maintaining the Hydration Leffa synergy, right? Because you got both of them in right-hand side. It's probably Leffa on the Vindicta. But it's interesting that normally they go middle, and this time they decide we don't want any part of middle. You know, from the preamble, Jake, and just thinking about matchups, I think this is a really good read by Hydra Nation.
Yeah, I think they have a solid draft here. I think the addition of the Mo really forces BNB to show something different. That being said, I mean, BNB, they managed to get that win. Like, they managed to outplay. And so I do think this is a Hydra Nation, you know, in a spot they haven't often been, which is on the brink of elimination here, down 1-0. And you got to remember, for BNB, they've got the wind in their sails. They were able to clutch it out in the last game. So they can fight well here. This is definitely not an easy one for Hydra Nation. Oh, the outplay baited by Ido so incredibly low. And oh, a 2 for 0. As I say it, BNB, hot start.
Yeah, he's going to want to just tower dive and die, right? So I get that instant respawn, get the health back, potentially. Either way, that's a nice little start to get. And we get more of a skirmish, but it's going to go the way it looks like of Leffa on Hydra Nation. Hydra Nation very low, but yeah, there's Ido just sort of resetting his health, dying to the tower.
Bet in the house on Hydra Nation again. All 130 souls that I have left. My very, very small house.
The town is gone.
My capitalist empire is gone. I lost in gambling.
Jake, aka BlackRock. All right,
They
well,
got me.
this middle lane's interesting. Calico Infernus against, what's that, GT Mirage. Is that Mirage? Yes.
Yeah, I believe GT Mirage is pretty scary for the nuking potential, but it was a good call. They did not bring the Mo to this lane. The immense range nuking power here from both sides. I think this would be a relatively passive farm lane. It's just hard to really for either side to go. Maybe once Calico gets ulti, she can start to get active, start to push the limit a little bit more.
It is a fun dynamic about this game that both teams have to kind of sort of predict who they think they'll be up against because they don't know when they're committing to the lane at the start. So you don't want to have a bad lane. You don't want to have interruptions, have to swap lanes necessarily at the start, right off the rip at least. Lash 7 against this Vindicta Mo combo that feels quite dangerous, but Lash 7 actually feels like they have some decent options to get the pressure on the Mo and potentially the Vindicta as well.
GT's putting a lot of damage down these charge shots, but the extra regen really helping Infernus kind of tolerate all this spam in the lane. Pretty sleepy mid lane though for the most part. I think it'll be the side lanes where we expect to get a bit more action. Curious to see how Hydration is doing on the Mo Krell. If he's able to like push lanes up on the tower, is able to get some early damage down and maybe start rotating a little bit sooner.
It's interesting because it does feel like an equilibrium, like somewhat of a stalemate in mid. We got B&B having a good time with the Yamato Kelvin combo on the left lane, getting tower damage, and Hydra Nation maybe I think maybe the edge with this right lane. I think this right lane maybe goes a bit quicker, the tower damage, than the left lane for B&B. But ultimately, it feels somewhat even at the moment. That mid lane could really, once that kicks off, the abilities come online, that could be the X factor for the team that gets the better situation.
Also, I got to interject real quick here to bring up the obvious, which is that it's not fish cake on the lash, it's Gibbs on the lash. We didn't bring that up, but what in the world? I did not catch that in the beginning.
Fish cake on the 7. Interesting.
Yeah,
well, I guess this is an odd draft for them to fill. Maybe they're a little bit desperate to put all the heroes together. But meanwhile, Lefa and Hydration are off to an extremely hot start, finding kills in their lane, just continuing to shove that tower in. I mean, they're really building up a lot of pressure here that is all going to be released elsewhere on the map once that right side Guardian does fall. As I expect it may soon do in the next few waves. Hydration halfway to that next combo cooldown. Expect to see more action popping off, especially with Lefa being this farmed. No ultis available for B&B, and I think HN, they want to keep playing the tempo lead. They don't want to slow down. They don't want to let these players back into the game, and this tracking from Lefa is really solid. Those players extremely low. Always the threat of the snipe under tower. Oh no, the collat.
Okay. You don't see that.
A little mad. Lefa's a little mad about the way game 1 went, and he's off to a very strong start. This should be tower going down.
Yeah, that's pretty huge. At the same time, is there decent tower damage on the left side for B&B? I'm not sure that it's
baby tower damage.
Baby damage. Okay, it's hard to sell on the minimap sometimes.
Oh, swap dodge.
Uh-oh, this is painful. Under the frozen shield, we get the heals there. Wow, that's great here. And okay, getting some extra damage in on the tower. Maybe Sinclair going down. Very weak. And there's the finish by peer content. Very good work there from B&B. Oh, there's a combo kill coming in though. That is a problem. And Lefa. Oh, Lefa's a problem. Lefa is. I'm already afraid. I'm seeing the future. Lefa might just eat everyone in this match.
Guys. Lefa, 6k souls. A little scary. Counter pressure on the enemy Guardian. There will be a response coming. Yamato's coming back. She doesn't have ulti though. Not sure she's gonna be able to hold this one down. They are bringing Kelvin in too, but without the ultis. Okay, 7, hold on. Fighting in the mid lane. Lash just not quite connecting with the ulti. Shut down by Rocane, and Infernus starting to light it up here in the mid lane, close to that flame dash. This is turning into a bit of a blowout. Hydra Nation off to an extremely strong start this game. And frankly, this game is getting a little bit out of control. This is a 6-key lead in 6 minutes. That is extremely bad for B&B. Hydra Nation keeping the pressure on all fronts.
And that all happened in like 2 minutes, the last 2 minutes. Suddenly just game sped up. Lefa got activated. Get Ido back in there, looking to deal some damage.
You want that smoke with Hydration. He's pretty tanky, pretty strong. Although, hold on. That forces Lefa out of the fight. Hydration in trouble.
Then we're going to chase down here from B&B, trying to find a finishing shot or two onto Hydration. He's so low, but he gets away. We have a pretty big commitment, pretty big investment here on this lane. 3 players still sticking to this. Traveler online though. Oh, we've got Paradox coming across. Flick is coming across here with the Paradoxical Swept, no less. That is a problem here. I don't think BNB are going to be able to realize what's going on in time, although they do fall back, but doesn't matter. Lefa with the Assassinate from distance will pick off peer content, and the domination continues from Lefa.
GT ulti flying in, drops a nuke onto Lefa, but that's all. No real kill threat. And Ido kind of wants to defend this, but it's already too far gone here. Fishcake falling in the meantime, mid lane, flame dash from Infernus, making it very awkward here for the squad. GT tries to get the parry, ends up getting the chase down onto Calico. But once again, Hydronation bringing numbers back to the mid lane. This great talent, I think, is one of the biggest threats for BNB. Popper is having one of the strongest games. He needs to stay alive, needs to win some team fights, and I think Hydronation want to shut that streak down.
9K for Lefa. He's a little too ahead right now. Very uncomfortable. 3 players here for Hydronation on this mid lane. A 4th player coming onto the mid lane. Galk here with the Calico as well, and there goes the swap, and there is nothing to stop this. Absolute domination coming through from Hydronation. They are going to be quick to have this mid Guardian. That said, BNB, they're rotating players in the back line.
Big ulti from Lash. Hold on. This is the turn. Oh, no, it's only Paradox for now. Under tower, push deep, but the rest of the squad is there, continuing to fight. Calvin, Dome, gets the catch. BNB bringing everyone to this fight. Maybe needs some more, but hold on, Hydronation. Maybe have gone too far. They got the Guardian, but the rest of the team backed off. Rokane just didn't see the chance to turn that team fight around. And that should be a Guardian trade as well. So BNB bringing resources, being rewarded.
Yeah, still... Okay, 5K difference now, so we are closing the gap a little bit. Good stuff here from BNB getting active. You know, they brought so many players, but it was definitely necessary. I'm trying to get some farm here as well. However, what a Hydronation up to? 2 players here looking to take this engagement off the Paradoxical Squad as the catch there onto Poppers. No trade possible. Lefa also sniffing around the enemy jungle, getting those Sinner sacrifices.
Yeah, nice steal. Nice on the enemy Sinner sack. Buff coming up here. Should be an easy grab. Spirit, Spore Hydration. You're going to get that cooldown reduction. And Lef is just happy to farm it up. I mean, he's already got such a lead. He's going to farm very, very quickly in this game. Keep the lanes pressured. I mean, there is the threat of the GT with a strong matchup in this game. But Hydronation, they know they have a bit of an advantage. 7K for now. They're going to bring the urn, try to expand that to a nice, comfortable 10K lead. And Lefa leaning eastward on the map, coming to that right lane. Seems like we might get in for another team fight. Gibbs does not have the ulti. Neither does Pure Content. These key team fight ultis not available. I wonder if this will just be a give up here for the urn for Hydronation. No, seems like they want to fight. They want to trade, but it's going to cost them elsewhere on the map.
This is a tough situation here for BNB. Going in for it though, trying to prevent this drop off from happening. Cloud, there we go. Or the Storm Cloud comes in. Oh, that's such a good answer. Assassinate. That's going to power Lefa up more. Look at him up here in the sky. That is so much damage up from up there, and it's going to be a pickup on the urn as well. He looks to get this in, but looks like Ido has other ideas. So just like trying to beat him down, but another Frozen Shelter coming online finally here from Peer Content. This might actually help here, isolating some players in that fight. And Lefa's getting in close here now as well to try to bully Ido, and it just seems like the numbers game is just too heavily in favor of Hydronation, and it is starting to snowball, I feel. 12K the difference now between the two teams.
It's a rough 7 game because you're not being countered by hard stuns in lockdown the way 7 sometimes is countered. You're being countered by bullets in your head from Rokane and Lefa just shooting you. Like, you can't Stormcloud. You're just dying from long range. And that's a major problem for the team fight for BNB. Typically, you're relying on this 7 ult to zone people away, make it so they can't fight, but they just turn on you, focus you down, and there's no recourse. There's not really a hard save for BNB. I mean, I guess you could Kelvin ulti the 7 ult, but that kind of defeats its own purpose. Lead expanding here. 13K for Hydronation. They lost game 1, but it sure doesn't feel like it.
Well, in a moment of relative respite from the Chaos ZP, this sucks for BNB, right?
Yeah, quite a bit. I mean, what is the thunder of the storm relative to the bullet from Leffa's gun right now? Is what I'd say here. I mean, you see Fishcake goes like, it's a great opportunity to drop a storm cloud. The problem is that Leffa is so goddamn rich by comparison that he's just able to go, oh, I'll drop assassinate, and your storm is immediately quelled, right? It is a really, really tough position to be in right now for BNB because they're already really far behind, and Leffa has been really just leveraging the amount that he's ahead pretty heavily with heavy roaming. And also, I just wonder how much BNB is out of their comfort zone here, because the fact that their hero pool got put into a spot where they pick Lash, but they need to put Gibbs on Lash right now, I think is dropping Death Slam under pressure. It doesn't seem ideal, as Gibbs just gets mugged in the alley. Like, I'm not seeing the appeal of this team comp for BNB and the personnel they have to play it. It feels a little bit like a draft loss to me so far.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to surmise it. I feel the same way. Are you on the same page, Jake?
Yeah, I think Hydronation, in picking this Mo Krill, they forced the game into a much more stable situation, and I still feel BNB basically cheesed last game to get the win. I mean, props to them for being able to execute a cheese. Like, that's not to take anything away from them as a team, but Hydronation has engineered a much more stable game, and they're reaping the rewards of that, right? Like Flick now having another huge game on the Paradox, so many opening pickoffs, so many team fights going their way. The raw damage is clearly in Hydronation's favor. The team fighting with Rocker, putting in a really impressive show here on the Sinclair. And BNB, I mean, they're really struggling to make connections with these Lash ultis, at least ones that actually define the team fight. I also feel Kelvin is a little bit lost in this draft. Like, no shade on pure content. And he's a strong Kelvin player. I'm just not sure what Kelvin's role is in a draft that doesn't really have much of a overwhelming frontline presence the way Kelvin normally wants to play.
And I mean, we've been farming a little bit at this point, but like not the team's really been engaging in team fights. But yeah, this gap of 15k roughly is being kind of holding steady, slowly expanding for Hydronation. And we're going to get the next urn spawning in 30 seconds, and that's going to be a spot where I feel like Hydronation could, they're going to bring a challenge to that. And it's all about whether BNB want to go for it, or if they are going to want to try to trade maybe other objectives. We'll have to see how they interpret it, but a team fight doesn't feel good for BNB at this point in time.
Yeah, they're struggling here, struggling to even come out on the map. Now they've got a few ultis online. I think playing around these teamfight ultis, looking for those big connections is what they need. But there's a connection there. Flick with the swap in onto pure content, forcing him back. Hydronation happy to kite the start of this engagement though, and it's the buffs are going to be their reward. Stormcloud over the top. Maybe this is enough. Doesn't seem to be enough damage able to be delivered there onto the 7, but Yams is already down. And now the re-engage comes in from Hydronation. Stolen 7 ulti over the top from Rocker. And BNB falling to pieces now. 3 down already. Should just be cleanup crew for the rest of the squad. Very healthy here on the Sinclair. He is domed in with the Kelvin and the 7, but playing his way out of this incredibly well. And you got to imagine the rest of the team is waiting outside to bail him out.
Yeah, great movement there to juke as much damage as possible. Staying pretty healthy. Okay, Urn is now being carried across the map by Flick, Paradox. And at the same time, BNB have to try to defend this mid-walker, so they're not in the great positioning at the moment to challenge. But with that said, it's like Flick has been quite offensive, taking that Urn in a very safe route. But still, BNB, no challenge whatsoever, really, for that Urn. Looking to instead focus on some of the jungle, working on that right side lane, which is completely giving it up. And giving that the Urn's in their territory, I think that really says a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Hydronation, I don't think they even expect this. They're assuming that BNB is going to mount the defense. They're not even really trying to turn in. But once they see all these players showing on the right side Guardian trying to pressure it down, yeah, it's going to be clear signal for Hydration to grab that turn in. Brocane, going to watch the tower go down, maybe deny some souls. No reason to take any kind of risks here. Just not necessary.
I see 7.
And right now, Hydronation, they're moving as a pack. 4 players in that mid position. BNB also in their own formation there on the right side, but there's not a lot of farm left on this side of the map, so you don't want to be wasting time. So they're going to be forced to rotate across. But it feels like Hydronation just really looking for a catch. As soon as they get the catch, they can just turn it into a mid boss, into really whatever they want.
It's a very clinical game from Hydra Nation. They're gonna go for the mid boss. This is a bit risky. You do have 7 ulti down. That is a pretty massive tool that helps BNB in the mid boss. However, with Lash ulti, with Great Talon, Kelvin, I mean, I really think this is a pretty significant risk. Yeah, they are gonna back off. I think especially after how that last game went, maybe you want to be pretty cautious forcing an early mid boss. It seems like BNB thought the mid boss is real and they're gonna try and get objectives elsewhere on the map, but the defense is being mounted. Hydra Nation making the right call, not finishing the mid boss, just looking for kills out on the map. It is going to be a Guardian going down on the left side. On the right side, though, it is going to be pretty major team fight by the Walker.
So BNB able to get some objectives done here, but obviously at the cost of losing mid boss. It's not going to be good. So, okay, are we going to get a potential challenge? This kick does have the Storm Cloud available.
He's going for it. Infernus ulti, though. Oh, yeah, they're still going to get the last hit. And I mean, that was Gibbs. It was pretty adventurous, man. I don't know like if there's any way he's ever going to get that. Trying to ult and then come in. Maybe if no one else was ready. Copied Stormcloud, though, from Sinclair. Zoning players out. Ido in the Shadow Farm could be a threat.
Too much focus fire coming in, though. And I think what you're saying to the Infernus earlier was definitely on the money. Not too much really to stop Infernus, just burning people up. And with that rejuve, at this point, you would expect the game to now get out of control because they're going to get all the map control, all the lanes are going to get pushed. And so they should be able to just take these walkers with impunity. Like I feel like 2 walkers should be the result here at the minimum.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a 30% soul lead right now for Hydra Nation. They might just want to heal up on Flick and Rocker to just like mitigate some of the potential threat. But man, the bird isn't even enough to one-shot the rejuve creeps. That's rough. Great Talon also out in front of the Walker, trying to make that mid defense. Hydra Nation looking for the collapse.
Yeah, here comes that pressure. Big damage. No response, really. And there goes those 2 walkers. No issue whatsoever here for Hydra Nation. BNB making their way in now, looking to find a fight. Well, they just want a good fight, a good engage. But look at this. It's just a ball of players for Hydra Nation, and I just don't think you can engage that.
Yeah, swap. Rare swap miss there. From Flake just went for it raw with no setup on the power shot. But there's a big map of farm open and available right now. BNB, they're bleeding out slowly. They've got to make some kind of play, but it just feels like nothing's connecting for them this game. And I mean, this has been a clinical game from Hydra Nation, right? They've looked very focused, very clean, tactical, right back to their winning ways. They've been able to shrug off that last loss really comfortably, and it feels like it's changed nothing for them. I mean, if I didn't know better, I would have said this is just the first game of the series. Hydra Nation look really rock solid.
Looking really good from Hydra Nation. I mean, it's just really executing the fundamentals, making sure that you maximize your advantages, don't give any option for your opponent. All the things that Hydra Nation are obviously great at doing. And they're going to be carrying that on across again. And I feel like at this point, Jake, even if it's a bad fight, you got to try to go for stuff at this point.
Yeah, you really need the 7 ulti, though. I think it's like a few seconds away. GT Bird comes in, but they're so scared. Like they're not even on the map. Yeah, I agree with you, Dan. I mean, as much as Rejuve is too scary, I think BNB, like they're just gonna bleed out. I mean, the advantage is gonna get really out of control. I mean, arguably the advantage is out of control with a 43,000 soul lead. I mean, that's like a 6K item on every player, more than a 6K item on every single player on Hydra Nation over BNB.
Jake, you say bleed out, but like you say bleed out, but Gibbs is literally a dehydrated mummy on the floor right now. It's 12K Lash. Like, in all seriousness, you have never seen Jacob Lash this broke in a game of professional Deadlock. I feel like it is absolutely brutal. The soul gap that has eclipsed here, and I just feel like the path to victory for BNB. I don't know. I mean. I don't really know what would need to transpire aside from like Hydra Nation getting a DC and the person not being able to come back, period, because we're just that far gone right now.
You gotta think the soul lead is big enough where you could be down a player on Hydra Nation and you still have a soul lead. If you take off like a 30K soul paradox or whatever, you're still winning. You're still stronger. And it's only getting worse. I mean, there's a big, block of creep camps on the left side that Hydra Nation are able to grab right now. And I mean, in fairness, Hydra Nation are doing exactly what they should do. They're just expanding the lead and running every single urn as it spawns. And the fact that BNB haven't contested the last 2 urns, it feels like well, when are you going to contest an urn? I mean, are you're just maybe this next one you're out on the map at least. You got a couple lanes pushed. Maybe this is the moment. But man, look at these gun items on the Infernus. He is strong. He's got a lot of tankiness. He's got the E shift. Like the owl is just for what? Scouting, poppers. I mean, this feels like a game where BNB are talking about what they're going to do next game. I mean, I really just am not seeing many signs of life. Maybe it's like a full hide angle and like wait for a player from Hydra Nation to overextend to farm and you've got like 6 players hiding in a room, but that's pretty freaking desperate.
Desperation.
Yeah, Mo saw somebody there in the second floor. He knows they're hiding. He's just human ward right now. And I mean, the rest of the BNB is pretty much just AFK, waiting for something to happen, waiting for Mo to overstep, and he's just scouting. No intention of being caught.
So, Hydronation enclosing around BNB, I feel like. If you look at the map, it's just all being eaten up. Now they're making their way through to that mid position. Swap comes through, and it's not a good look here for Peer Content. Poor Peer Content having to drop the Frozen Shelter just to survive. An extra second, basically, is what that Frozen Shelter did. And now it's just, oh god, it's clean up on the rest. It's hard to look at, I gotta say, Jake.
Yeah, Lefa is enormous right now. He's just peeking the base. I mean, they're not even, they could go do mid right now, but like, do you even need to? Yamato's going in. I think you die in your ulti on Yamato here. I think this is a super scary situation. He is going to pop the ulti in immediate E-shift after the ulti. That does not feel good. And he's just dead. Yeah, Hydronation just going to end the game right here, pretty sure. Gibbs has ulti. Maybe you hit like a 6-man into the fountain. That's what you're hoping for. But your players, they're just dropping like flies. Poppers can't even jump into the air above his own fountain.
That's not cool, man. That's not cool. Well, it's I think this is an unceremonious end to the second map here, and then obviously somewhat.
They can shoot this guy. He can't. Yeah. There's no way.
BNB are still not going to be out of it. Obviously, they picked up that first.
They can go do mid. I mean, they should go do mid. Realistically, like that's the correct play is to go do mid boss. It's spawning in a few 30 seconds. BNB have to come out on the map and team fight. You know, do a couple jungle camps while you wait. Hydration are ready for decisive game 3, and I gotta say for BNB, the mental. This is like a mental demolition game. Like BNB just has not had any fights. They've just died over and over and over again for 25 minutes. It's like a decently long game, but at no point has this game been winnable for BNB.
Yeah, just like right from the get-go, from like minute 6.
Yeah.
It's
been a long time since you had some hope for BNB. I mean, that takes a lot of mental fortitude.
Yeah.
Also, can we look at some of the kill death counts here? You're 7 at like 0 and 8. Your Lash at 0 and 9. Your Yamato just getting pummeled.
On the map. You're dead.
Like, you've shown some sense of life on the map. Little did you know, Hydronation controls all of it.
I mean, I think Hydronation can just end here. I don't even think they need to do the mid boss. See what they elect to do. I mean, there's always the threat of that Lash ult. It's the dream for Gibbs. He goes up with it. And I don't know, did he get somebody? I'm not sure because he's already dead. Maybe it was the Calico. She's deep in the pit. Maybe a little bit deeper than she wants to be. Caught in the Spirit Snare, but easy cleanup for Hydronation. Going to a game 3. Come on, Peer Content.
3 on the way.
Come on now, bro. You ain't clutching this, bro.
You know, it's a shame when it happens, when it's like this decisive, but it is what it is. Little concussive combustion right there, just, you know, for good measure at the end. But that's going to be it. Hydronation lock in the easiest map of their lives here in the grand finals for an equalizing, state here for this best of 3. Now, there is some stuff to learn here, guys, for BNB, but what is it?
They just got hit in the head with a baseball bat. Don't let him hit you in the head with a baseball bat again. I think that's what we just learned. I don't know if we can file that under crucial revelations. They just got smoked this game. Lefa just ran him down. Dominant performance on the Vindicta, reminiscent of some of those Vindicta snowballs from the 4-lane map of just like sniping people across the map and getting to a ridiculous soul count.
Look, I'll stand by what I said mid-game and just say that this was, for me, full-on draft loss. I think it was Dan you brought up, is like, yeah, the early Mo pick kind of shifted their strategy, and they were never able to recover. Like, literally, we at the end of the draft, we go, okay, they're going to put Fish Cake on Lash, the comfort pick, elevate Lash, and then Fish Cake comes in on the 7, and you give the Lash to Gibbs. Like, nothing about this seemed comfortable for BNB. Nothing it felt like it went according to plan. It just felt like they went off the rails during the draft, and it just went into the deep dark forest, man. Like they never saw the light of day again.
This is that first clip is great because that is like the one fight that BNB ever won this game, was the one where they won the minute 1 trade in the lane and got 2 kills.
And Leffa got robbed there, not getting the double.
Yeah, the 1 HP survival. I mean, I gotta say, I'm not feeling too bad for Leffa in this game. I think he's doing just fine.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, Leffa is pretty dangerous here on this Vindicta. But I mean, in terms of like adjusting the bans or draft priority for BNB, I don't know if you even. I don't think necessarily the bans there's any issue necessarily with that. It's just like what they were able. I don't know.
I didn't like that they picked Kelvin this game with like the big like long range fighting. I think I wish they would. I mean, I don't know if it's reasonable. Can you steal like the paradox away from Flick? He's just so insanely good on the paradox. He creates so many opportunities. It feels like there's a lot of things that need to change, which is to say it's like just like a new approach. So rather than like tweaking a hero pick, I think this is more about like BNB having a different idea, a different concept in the next draft. You know, it kind of got smoked by a Mo pick. Like you had to know Hydronation was going to change something in this series, and I think they just weren't ready for that early Mo steal.
And
go ahead.
No, it's just you think about other ways that they ran it here, right? I think the other thing that really came to play too is that you look at the comp they end up running with. The lanes never really felt ideal. It does go back to the Mo steal, and that just comes down to the fact that like they weren't able to pick up other things that went well with it, and also Leffa just got like enormously ahead to like kick salt into the wound. But you know, the idea of like going Kelvin before you've actually secured other things that work well with Kelvin, I don't know. It was very discombobulated, and I don't think they'll let Mo get away from them that early. I think they'll actually pick it even earlier than Hydronation next draft if they have the option to do so.
Didn't Hydronation take it in the first 2?
They did, yeah. So they would have to first
Mo?
pick. I think they would have to in this case.
Yeah, but then I don't know. I'm worried about that. I feel like then you give them like Mirage. First pick Mo is some wild stuff. But I mean, in fairness, the like hiding plays on Mo in the game 1 were like a key factor for really putting Hydronation on the back foot, making them play a lot more passive, shutting down Calc when he tried to gank those side lanes on the Abrams. There's something to it.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I do agree about the shift of concept. I feel like the Kelvin kind of committed them into like a more normal comp as opposed to like the heavy playmaking, 1-win-esque type of stuff they had going on in their first map. But you know what? It's time to go to a break and find out all the answers. If you stick with us, we will deliver you the final map of the money match here for the North American portion of Deadlock Fight Night number 21, presented by Intel. We'll see you shortly after this. Welcome back, everybody, to Deadlock Fight Night number 21, and we are about to conclude our money match. Will Hydronation once again claim the title, or, given the fact that they've already lost a map in this series, will they be defeated? It is all possible here at DFN, and I'm here with ZP and Jake to find out. Guys, how likely is it that we see Hydronation actually lose?
Guys, the vibe check is Hydronation. They got cheese. They locked in. They put up a serious dub on the board, and they're about to put up one more. I mean, we've seen this before from them where maybe the first game is pretty competitive in a series, and then they just like find their footing. They find the answer to the way a team plays, execute on it, and they're just immaculate from there on out. And I honestly, I've struggled to see what BNB just need to change so much after game 2. It's hard to keep the faith here.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, to me, it all comes down to draft, where Hydronation has proven that, generally speaking, they have a way deeper pool, the draw from draft-wise. And I think if you're Hydronation, you just continue doing what you sort of did in the last game, right? Is that you target things that BNB likes to play, you take them for yourself, and you go, BNB, what are you going to do, right? The first ban here should be interesting in terms of what Hydronation targets. I mean,
surely Pocket again, right? They banned Pocket the first 2. I don't think they're changing that. I think it's good and it's correct. I would do the same thing in their shoes.
Yeah, you don't give LeBron the ball in this case.
Especially after such a beatdown game. You want to keep Ido on the back foot, keep him off a comfort hero. Like Ido having a great game on Pocket is exactly the opener into the game that BNB are really wishing that they had last game.
Yeah, and you look at this here, Dan, the question for B&B, do they stick with the holiday ban or do they open things up for them? I would like to see them open things up a little bit and see where it goes. And they get rid of the Vindicta. So honestly, not having to deal with Alefa being server admin, not the worst opening call, but I do think the snap call from Hydra Nation might be the holiday. But if they do that, Dan, it's going to open things up to get the Mo in the first 2 for B&B.
Yeah, but already I feel like we're off to a better start. But we'll see.
I like the B&B our second pick too, because I don't think there's any one pick the Hydra Nation can get that is like backbreaking in this game. Oh my God, it is the Mo first pick. That's devious. That is devious. You called it, ZP. You called it after the last game. I respect. This is a crazy pick, but I think Hydra Nation are just saying we can beat you with any heroes in the game. You were really annoying on the Mo in game 1, and we know it shuts down your ratting playstyle. And that's like all that they need to win. And so even though this is like an off meta to go this early in the draft with Mo Krill, it gives up a lot to B&B. The question is our picks like Holiday, maybe this will be a Mirage or a Calico, will those actually be enough? And I'm a bit skeptical because I think also Mo is a good hero in his own right and has good matchups even into somebody like Holiday who wants to get in and get out. You're caught by the combo, you could be in trouble.
I think Mirage is, or Calico. I think it has to be Mirage or Calico just to play into the capacity.
Oh, GT. I mean, they've been picking GT super high prio. Now I think I really want to see Lefa on the Mirage. Actually, he really impressed me last week on it. It looked like an amazing hero for him. He's so good at getting farmed. It has such a great landing stage. His aim is so immaculate. Just like a lot of great things for Mirage for Lefa for me, and I think it fits really well in this game. Puts a lot of pressure on GT. Has a good escape potential. If you get caught by somebody like the Holiday, they're gonna snap it up.
Yeah, and the thing about picking the Mirage is that it's not just good to get the Mirage in play because he's a good general hero, it's also the best hero to lane against Mo in a lot of cases, right? So by picking the Mirage, you've not only improved your team and got one of the best heroes in the game, you've also gotten the double benefit in that your Mo doesn't really have as big of threats to like ruin the Mo's early game as before, and you could probably stack the Mo middle and really get a devastating lane, getting the Paradox on top of it. Honestly, perfect drafting as far as I'm concerned.
I would still love to see the Bebop potentially. Maybe it's just a case that they're not comfortable playing it, but I still think Bebop is kind of nice against what we're seeing from Hydra Nation to like even out those lanes, just pair it up against the Mo, make sure you like get that mid lane win, etc., etc. But there's obviously other options here as well. Like Calico is probably still a good spot, a good option to get because it plays into the kind of more aggressive play style that they went with in the first couple maps of today. And Calico, we saw great movement from, was it Fishcake, who they were just constantly pressuring and split pushing. So at least they get their split push now. Now the Mirage is gone.
Bans here, I wouldn't mind Hydra Nation banning out something like a Viscous since they already have the Mo and Gibbs is so good on the Viscous. I wouldn't hate getting that out of the pool. It's going to be the 7 ban for B&B, so they don't want to deal with that overwhelming objective team fight pressure that 7 brings, being able to storm cloud over the top of the mid boss or the urn fights. We've seen that be really impactful in a lot of these games. Both bans making a lot of sense to me. I actually kind of would have preferred B&B letting the 7 through since they do have the Holiday, who's pretty good at shutting down 7. Yeah. So...
Actually, I'll tell you what they should ban. I think they should ban Sinclair. B&B hasn't really shown any proclivity to picking the Sinclair. And okay, they banned the... It's interesting to decide to ban the Abrams here. I mean, for B&B, maybe they respond with Kelvin. We'll see. But for me, in looking at this, I don't know. I do wonder if that was the right choice to go here because B&B, maybe they steal the Sinclair, but I think if you give the Sinclair over the Hydra Nation, you're almost giving up too much power, especially with what Rocker has proven to be really good at. Because, okay, you've got an Infernus. I don't think Infernus was necessarily at risk of being sniped, but I think one of the next 2 picks here will for sure be a Sinclair.
Yeah, it does feel like the Infernus might be the first error in the draft, major error. Maybe the 7 ban potentially as well, just again because the lasso presence is really a counter. But I like the Abrams ban from Hydra Nation just because Abrams is like very powerful. Again, we see it from 1 win. It is very powerful in that kind of strat where you're going to go very aggressive into the mid game. And this is, I think you described it perfectly. The fact that you open up the Sinclair pickup, which would have been another good pick for B&B, is definitely another problem as well. That was well said.
Yeah, I think the Sinclair makes Infernus's life pretty hard. Being able to like hex him and control him. I think Infernus doesn't really hate being hard stunned and locked down. And there's a lot of that on Hydra Nation right now. Really, they're bringing a ton of stunts to the table, a ton of control for these team fights. It's going to be a Shiv. That is an interesting pickup. You know, I could see, I want like, this kind of like, it's weird because it almost forces BNB to pick Kelvin. And I don't think BNB want to pick a Kelvin with the draft that they have so far. But at the same time, I think if you give Kelvin to Hydra Nation, it's pretty rough. Like, and you're out of ban. So there's like a certain logic behind this. I think makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because you open up the Shiv Kelvin lane if you don't take the Kelvin. Now I wonder here is that your front line is still kind of lacking. I mean, we've seen teams make it without a big front line, but I don't know. We kind of said this at the end of last draft. Here's what I'll say for sure. You have the Holiday. I definitely do not want to see a Lash. Like, I will flip the table if you go Lash.
Surely it's like a Yamato here
I still
or something.
think
Like,
Yamato or Geist would be good. But you're right. For Ido, you'd probably want Yamato here, given where you're at. Like,
yeah, and he did have a great game one. Oh, the
Bebop!
Oh, okay.
What am I saying? Ido plays Holiday, like a lot of Holiday. So
okay.
pool-wise, Ido is already spoken for with the Holiday pick to begin with, because that is Ido's ultimate, like, play this all the time movement hero. So
yeah, that makes sense.
It should fit his that's why we had the swap up here, and why there's no Yamato.
Is this me a fish cake Bebop or like a Gibbs Bebop? I'm curious to see where that goes.
Gibbs, I guess, because Calico will be fish cake, right? Because that's what he
okay, yeah. And the Yamato, right? I mean, this is a very greedy draft from Hydra Nation, but this is also something that they've popularized in previous weeks of just like actually just winning all their lanes with a bunch of greedy heroes and hitting this like monster snowball stride where not only do they have better late game, but they're actually beating you in the early game. I think that the big hopes for BNB are really like the Calico and the Bebop, as well as GT and Holiday. Calico and Bebop, I think, can have really strong early games. And then if GT and Holiday can get some team fights in the mid game, I definitely think this is a much better draft for BNB than they had last game. And I think this sets up for a much more competitive game 3.
Yeah, I mean, their early game laning here is very, very strong as far as I'm concerned. I mean, you got the whether it be the Holiday into the Calico, I mean, the Kelvin, which is still going to be able to pair well. I think they've kind of stacked things into winning lane phase. And realistically speaking, you know, their scaling might be a little bit of a problem into late game if Hydra Nation is able to keep it even or gets ahead. But there's, I think, more clear win conditions, Dan, than what BNB had in the last map.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a lot more. Like the pick-off potential from both Holiday and Bebop, the laning potential, you've got more split pushing potential and more synergy. I think overall, it does feel better. But I think, in much like that game 1 where we saw BNB actually win, the big question mark is, can they survive the early laning phase? And as we've got all these matchups as EP now revealed to us, like, what is your take?
Well, the interesting part is that you go to the idea of like who Mo wants to fight and when Mo wants to go middle versus not. There's no Mirage on the other side, and what happens? Mo goes middle, and in this case goes middle with Mirage. That is a hellacious lane for BNB to deal with. So I think more than anything else, I'm curious on middle lane, because I think it's a lane that's going to be able to be very aggressive and will punish mistakes more severely.
They lane swapping. They're sending Infernus over to mid. He just walked from the right lane to the mid lane.
Ooh.
Interesting.
I like it.
I mean, I don't think I've seen it. I guess, you know, having that big body Mo, very vulnerable to getting burned up. But I don't know if this is like a great lane. And Flick is going to kill Yams in the meantime.
Yeah, I think something that we've seen that seems to be the strongest against the Mo is the Bebop. Like Bebop, Mirage are the first 2 heroes that come to my mind when I think of like what's good against the Mo in a lane. So they've got that Bebop Holiday lane. So maybe they're just trying to like index to have the strongest lane possible on the left side against the Paradox. And I can't see who's with Paradox.
Hold up. Just one last note. Gibbs is the one on the Holiday. It's not Ido on the Holiday. They put Ido onto the Calico.
Okay.
What in the Gibbs mystery heroes, like Gibbs being onto the hero we expect other people to play, is blowing my mind this series. That's all I got.
Okay, well, we'll have to see how it plays out. Definitely a pretty curious set of circumstances. Mid lane, obviously, is always a big focus. Mirage Mo is nasty. It is so nasty. And you can already see some of the lane control that they have. The oppressive damage of the Mirage is nasty.
Yeah, Lefa's just so great at getting the most out of this hero. Isn't there some pressure now in the mid lane, but it's a nice disarm from Hydration, who's really starting to put the damage onto Calico. He's full HP. I mean, I don't think he's going to dive right now, but I think it's going to come soon. Furnace trying to burn him, but yeah, Furnace is dead. Yeah, nice damage to the wall from Hydration.
Yeah, that's nasty. And that's kind of I mean, we're playing it fine there, but I suppose if you're very, very low, it might actually be better because the Mirage is out on the lane anyway. You wouldn't be able to like show your face or do anything. So it's probably
better to just deal some damage and die. Yeah, just like put some pressure on the lane. At the same time, though, you didn't really put much pressure out in the end. I think Hydration and Lefa, another game where they're off to a super hot start, and like that's the dream for Hydronation as a team. They want Hydration and Lefa to have a great start. We've seen this from them. I think it was like 2 weeks ago where they were just crushing mid lanes left and right, a lot of times off the back of the Mo. And Ido is struggling to even get the connections from this melee skill. Like he's getting hard pressured in this lane, and Furnace isn't really able to change that at all.
And I think it shows a good argument for why you like the Bebop against the Mo, because Mo sustain is too nasty. So if you have to play by the tower, if you have that hook threat, we can pull them into the tower, and you at least get a lot more. There's a lot more danger out there, and it's easy to get the connections onto the Mo. But this is not the start that you want to see. 3K difference already in the first 4 minutes.
Oh my god, he's knifing Walker. This is illegal behavior in the mid lane.
Oh dear, yeah, this mid Guardian is going down real fast. This thing is going to go down real
prediction's still open. I'm betting my house on Hydronation.
Yeah, not a good start in the mid lane. I'm trying to look at the tower damage on the other lanes right now. Because again, like B&B, I feel like the Holiday Bebop lane is potentially very strong, but I mean, Sinclair Paradox definitely no slouches in their in their own right. But so it's
this is a 4K lead at 4 minutes. Give me your copium. This takes all your skill and experience as a caster. It needs to come together into this moment. Oh my god, that nuke on the Infernus and the combo. Bye, brother. Why, he didn't even need the tornado in there. Sure, why not? I guess. And is the Infernus gonna die to that? He might die to that proc. Oh, close.
Maybe he had like Infuser active or something. I don't know if he even has that in his build, but I know there's some Mirages like to run an early Infuser for those big chunky pops on the Jin's mark, but yeah, I mean, I don't know about Copium. I'm just like trying to see if there's like an edge somewhere.
He just lost Mid Guardian at 5:05. Is it the fastest we've seen? It's absurd. TP instantly from Lefa. Getting active in his side lane now.
That's a problem. Now Lefa can start to like snowball this one for Hydronation. Okay, bit of a fight here for B&B under the tower. Dive coming on through.
Nice jukes.
Oh no, Fish Cake. Is he going to survive? Why is Fish Cake always on low HP? Every time we look, it's just on low HP. Fish Cake, no.
Oh, he dodged the damage. So Hydration got no lifesteal off of that, and a little bit of a late, or rather an early tornado. So Ido does get a kill back, but it's just across the map. It's a full court press. Hydronation, everybody everywhere is keeping the pressure on. I will say for B&B, right lane is their one hope, but now Hydration showing up, breaking up that 2v2, bringing in the combo potentially.
Similar trajectory to the previous game in terms of timings and soul difference right now. Dodging the frozen shelter and getting back out here again. The Mo first pick seems to be, I mean, you got to hand it to Hydronation, just really figuring out, hey, this is the pick that destabilizes your entire game. If we just take this away from you, we'll first pick it, you've got nothing.
And they're a team where they can take anything from you. Any pick you rely on, they don't need to ban it. They could just steal it from you. I mean, I think like they could have just easily done the same with the Pocket. With the overall first, they just chose the Mirage in this case. Or rather, the Mirage chose the Mo in this case. But I mean, it's just, that's like the threat that comes to playing against this team. And especially in a best of 3 environment. In a best of 1, maybe you feel a little bit better about like the RNG and the chaos of that best of 1 environment. But in a best of 3, man, that's where Hydronation really shine. Best of 3, best of 5. The more time they have, the more potential they can reach.
And I think that's got a lot to say with the way One Win play as well, because obviously they take this super playmaker aggressive approach, but they have so much depth to their relative hero pools that they have enough versatility in the draft that they can always be okay, even against a team that has as deep a hero pool as VP, which I think you could compare VP to Hydronation, to be honest.
Oh, gank from Lefa. He's got a huge lead on the map, getting active, easy kill on the Bebop, does as much damage as he possibly can, but now pressure comes in on the Guardian, should be going down. Elsewhere on the map, though, BNB trying to mix it up on the right lane, trying to bring numbers elsewhere. I like that they're doing this, getting active in the early game. Rokane, though, on the Yamato, such a difficult target to kill.
Yeah, 3 players here for BNB, so they are looking to see if they can convert something out of this right lane. Going deep here under the tower, seeing if they can find something. Fine Barry there, pops onto left, just keeping him alive a moment longer. Oh, misses the tornado actually, but oh, he's gonna get out of there. That's so unfortunate. Oh,
what a sick outplay.
Absolutely nothing for BNB.
Yeah, and Popper's super low, and the GT has to back off. Third and final Walker, gonna be Guardian. Maybe Walkers are coming soon, not quite yet. Hydra Nation clearing the Guardians now, fully free to get active on the map. All 3 of their Guardians are very high HP. Calvin in a pretty defensive dome here, putting some damage onto Leffa, but they don't feel that they can commit. Even with that extra nuke, Leffa's super low. He is going to get out.
More action here. Holiday. Ooh. Okay, that should be a dead Sinclair, presumably. On the run here. Not much HP left. There's a quick hex.
Oh my!
No, not. Please no! Please no!
Sinclair has to reload. Oh, I don't.
No way.
He needs this kill. No, he needs this kill. No way. They're surely not.
No. Okay.
Okay. But the response is coming in. These guys are extremely low. They're going to be dove right now. Leffa's here at full strength. Easy kills for him.
Yeah, and there are the trades. And if that kill had happened, 5 seconds sooner or 2 seconds sooner, even maybe they get away. It's such good delay there. I mean, delay, I think, just in every single FPS game is so powerful. If you can do it.
It's the difference. These players at the very top level, right? They're aware that their teammates can come in and bail them out. That great Talonbird, though, stuns the Mo out of the dig. Shadow Form Yamato, though, very scary to dive. Yeah, has to cancel, though. Not feeling full confidence. The rest of his team shows up, though. Maybe would have loved to chase that down, but don't worry. Flick is on the case. Another beautiful catch by the Paradox. And it feels like last game just went on for another 10 minutes and we're just into it. It feels like nothing changed. We reset the game, we picked new heroes, but it sure doesn't feel like it. It feels like this is just a corner has been turned for Hydra Nation and there's no going back for BNB.
It's like those dreams where you think you're awake but you're not, and then you wake up. But then you're actually in the same dream.
Yeah. It's like another layer of the dream.
Yeah.
You woke up into the next layer of the dream.
Yeah.
Inception here.
The proper term is false awakening that you're looking for here.
Okay.
It goes deeper into concepts of lucid dreaming. But I don't know why I'm picking that moment to interject. But hey, Leffa actually getting picked up. So
it's a big kill. Leffa was one of the most farmed heroes. And now they're going to potentially burn a Guardian down. It costs them poppers elsewhere on the map. Hydra Nation, they always exact a price. This time, it's going to be an earn and a kill elsewhere. However, opening a Guardian is something for BNB, right? It's like they take an objective, they get something done as a group. If they can keep snowballing that, if they can bring more numbers, they need to, though. I mean, 12K. I think 1K a minute, when you beat 1K a minute in terms of advantage, it's a huge problem. That's like a threshold for blowouts for me. Having more than 1,000 souls per minute of lead is very, very scary. It's a huge percentage of your souls, the difference between the two teams right now.
And another big team fight. In comes the Owl. Where is it going to go? Okay.
Oh, he hit the wall. Oy, oy, oy. Drunk driving from Poppers.
Yeah, man, it's nothing like overseas airlines. Those birds always go where they need to. All right, well, Hydra Nation able to get out of dodge here and just keeping the pressure on BNB for the time. 15k advantage, so it's only getting worse. The wound is only being stretched wider.
The fact that Hydra Nation are able to pick up some of those marginal mid camps that are just a little bit over the line onto BNB's side is a pretty big difference maker. Leffa's going to grab some of his own team's defensive camps. That vault on the right side, pretty important right now. You see Flick, they're aware of it. They know they want to get this contest off. This could be a back-breaking moment. BNB, though, I love that they're bringing big numbers to this. I think they're very aware that Hydra Nation might be looking to contest this objective, and that could be an overextension for Hydra Nation as they lie in wait.
Well, here we go. Chasing it down. Concussive combustion. Okay, into the swap and into the hex and Divine Barrier for a quick escape, but 100 HP, nope, there it is, gets finished off and leaves the bag. it seems like a small bag, relatively speaking, but I mean, I think, you know, the fish cake, man, you're in scarcity mode, so it still feels pretty rough at this point.
I don't think you're getting this Guardian either. You just don't have the bullet damage at this point. Is going to get focused down without any real reward to show for it. The vault was taken in the meantime by the contest from Hydra Nation, that they had even more numbers. BNB thought they could contest with just 1 or 2, but Hydra Nation had even more resources ready to deploy, ready to bring to bear. And a full rage Shiv is a pretty great tool to like get the quick farm on your own camps and get right back out on the map. For Shiv, it's like, it's not even an inefficient play since you need to get your rage up anyway. You don't mind as much, especially in a big lead like this, doing some of your own camps, keeping that rage on.
And BB trying to pick up whatever they can around the map at this point, but you can see like the jungle is pretty much devoured on their half, which means there's not much in the way of soul value on their side. They'd have to go to their opponent's side, but they're not going to be able to get there. And Hydra Nation, they've got already a pretty big soul advantage, and they can just keep pressuring.
Big gank on the right side, but BNB bringing numbers, want to turn this team fight around. This is the way you need to play from disadvantage. Bring numbers, make the trade. Flick knows that all hope is lost here. Going to go with the zip cancel. Should be getting out of trouble, but that is going to get a kill for Rocker. So that was some of the way that BNB was able to find success in game 1, right? Was making those hiding plays, punishing rotations out of Hydra Nation. They love to rotate in that way. It is going to net them the Guardian. But elsewhere, Walker being pressured across the map.
Yeah, Hydra Nation trying to work on that, but they have to disengage on the left side. Also trying to pressure on the mid walker as well. You got Calc there on the Shiv. We know how deadly Calc can be on a Shiv. We have seen it before. Where King gets finished off.
I mean, these are good fights. These are really good fights for BNB. To be down this much, to be able to get some trades, bring positive numbers to the engagement. Now Bird's coming in. Everyone is like 1 HP on BNB, and they are going to get cut down. So what looked like a solid start for BNB ends up being brought, I would say, back to even, at least in that individual trade by Hydra Nation. Nonetheless, the lanes are all on BNB's side of the map.
Yeah, and I think it's a great shout too, just to mention how these are the types of fights which you need to take. These fights on the peripheral of the map where your opponent's not going to have much of a way to kind of get assistance there very quickly. So if you find a good timing, you can maybe find some edges. But when it gets to team fight territory again, we're going to be in for some problems here for BNB. Like Hydra Nation might get to a point where they can just start forcing that mid boss and forcing that team fight. But another 3v2 here coming through for BNB, so man up advantage.
There's a chance with that hook. Earn pickup for Hydra Nation. Three players have shown for BNB on this left side of the map. That's going to enable Hydra Nation to take the fight on the right side. Brawling around the urn. This is a key contest. That objective allows you a lot more control into the next team fight. Kelvin trying to just sustain the rest of the squad, healing up Ido. Seems like both teams may be backing off for now, as there's 2 split team fights across both sides of the map. Shiv just farming up the mid lane, though, allowing BNB to have the numbers advantage elsewhere.
Well,
you're giving up a walker for this, though. Like you get a 1-for-1 and it costs you a walker. And now Lefa just doubles down, gets hooked by V-Buff and says, I'm not locked in here with you. But maybe he should have been a little bit more cautious, maybe overestimated his strength there, because that was a solo dive, right? His team wasn't there to support him, and Yams just called the bluff.
And BB looking for that and drop-off as well. It is in their territory. The frozen shelter is not available, so you would really want to have that for this drop-off. And Hydra Nation fully in position to defend against it. So BNB, typically they would use these urns as like a way to reposition their opponents, and then that would allow them openings on the rest of the map. But they're looking to go for this without some of the key ults.
Shiv full rage, big power being brought to bear, but there's 2 players from Hydra Nation not in this fight. I think this is a really risky place to fight for BNB. This is how you get back into the game. They are going to grab soul urn pickup. A little bit of overconfidence from Calc, getting swarmed, but he's trying to brawl it out, trying to take the engagement. Not going to happen. BNB bring numbers, and they're rewarded.
Yeah, really nice dive actually coming in from them, finding the isolations. That actually worked out because they also got the urn on top of that. And look at the soul difference. They were down like 20k, and in the last like minute, that big fight, they just recovered a significant portion. 8k difference. Now the game feels way more even. The only major difference is the fact that they lost that mid walker, and they do not have their opponent's mid guardian down.
Yeah, a bit of an awkward dash there for Rokane. Infernus gets a little bit scared. Yamato pops ulti defensively. And then maybe enough value for BNB. I think they're going to be happy with what they've forced. Getting that long cooldown off. Yeah, and I mean, like, you know, that's the advantage you have. You're when you're down in farm and you can't take the even numbers engagements, you got to create numerical advantages. It has cost them a lot of objectives, like losing that mid walker so early. You know, I think if Hydra Nation, they still do have a pretty significant edge in this game, but a couple more overextensions, a couple more well-traded team fights, and we could be seeing a very different game here, Dan.
Yeah, ZP, we just went from what felt like another crushing defeat for BNB to now they have a chance. They're in a good spot to compete.
Yeah, I mean, Hydra Nation, when they lost Lefa, they probably should have given up that urn. Like, trying to force the urn down players was just not a great idea. Because they gave up, as much as the urn gives, they gave up almost as much in actual kill credit from staying in a fight where they just overestimated their advantage. However, BNB's still in a tough spot overall because they're still significantly behind as Bebop comp. Like, their scaling does not get massively better. So, I mean, BNB might have gotten out of the fire, but they're still in the frying pan in terms of finding ways back into this game. It's still Hydra Nation very much ahead, but not as ahead as they could have been if they had just taken a more measured approach to the last urn fight.
It's a great point, ZP, that like the scaling is another issue for BNB. They've invested pretty heavily in the early game. I would say it hasn't paid off, well, unless it's paid off in the sense that they haven't lost yet. But nonetheless, Hydra Nation should be fine in an even game state. And the fact that they have an advantage may just be, you know, icing on the cake for them.
A bit more fun here through for both teams. In terms of objectives coming up, it's another run in about a minute. And that might be a spot now where actually, because they're so much closer on souls, this next urn might be the thing that actually it feels like, hey, if we're BNB, we can actually team fight this with a good frozen shelter. We can come back, good lasso. They have options in these bigger team fights. So we'll have to see if that's going to be what it takes. But there are 3 BNB players towards the left side right now, and 3 towards the right.
Fight on the left side of the map. Sinclair trying to get something here. And with Gibbs down, now that player advantage that you've been relying on, Fishcake as well, dropping. The player advantage you've been relying on for BNB is now completely in the hands of Hydra Nation, who sense their advantage. They want to get these sidewalkers down. And look at this total confidence out of Rocker, charging forward on the Sinclair with the help of Lefa.
Yeah, now we've got that frozen shelter coming to action. That should help out. Shadow Form coming through, trying to transform, and it's going to be just an easy kill into Lefa. So not looking too bad here for Hydra Nation still, given the numbers advantage that they have. Now they'll be chasing down these kills, making it even worse. Looking to just completely crush BNB, crush their recovery as well. Just look at this, just like on the ice path. And that's Ido dead as well here. So Hydra Nation once again extending their lead. Oh, hello.
Oh, Blunder Walker, hold on. This is a great potential start against the Shiv. Shiv wants to just do as much damage as Walker. Could potentially be duking it down. The tankiness that Shiv offers with the passive, not quite enough. Creeps are doing damage. Poppers does a lot of damage as well to the mid Walker. Kelvin wants to finish it off. He's gonna go suicide for it. I like this play. Oh, the stun. No, he's not quite gonna get it. Oh my, that's so close.
So close but no cigar. Okay, Yamato in on here. Flying strike, can't escape that. The chase potential is really good, although you are up against Ido there. It's got some movement indeed off of the jump pad with that holiday. So we'll be able to escape to safety. However, will this urn be something that can be defended by BNB? Given that they're down 3 players at the moment, it looks like a good opportunity for Hydra Nation to go mid-boss. Oh, perfect.
This is a potential backbreaker for BNB. Surviving a few minutes of the game against a Rejuve is a pretty tall order considering how difficult this game has been so far. They've got key ultis as well coming off cooldown very soon.
Okay, well, I think I feel like in the first map we saw I think it was BNB doing a good job here actually holding off the opponents, like delaying, wasting their rejuve time and not taking big fights, not allowing the elite to extend too much. But Hydra Nation, they want to get at the throats of BNB and secure those kills. But look at this, forced to respond here. I don't know if Ido's going to be able to get away from this. Oh, he's in trouble here right now. Ido using the jump pad to try to get out there, and he's just no chance. No chance.
Flick is too good. I mean, you just have no play in that fight, no counterplay. You just got caught by the perfect combo by Flick. He doesn't miss anything. This guy, I feel like you might. I'm fully drinking the Kool-Aid. I feel like you need to start banning Paradox away from Flick. He's just too good. But then I wonder, like, what else can he play on that level? Maybe everything.
Right.
Also, I need to stop and make a quick clarification. Like, the Ido connection to Holiday is so strong that even when Gibbs is on the Holiday, it's like, but Ido, it's like, no. It's Gibbs that has been on Holiday to big success this entire game.
Dude, my brain's just broken now. Broke my brain. Well, Hydronation, I mean, you called it a backbreaker to get that rejuve, and now all the lanes are pushed, so like they can really they can finally put the aggression on, and they have a decent soul advantage. So what value can they get from this? Because B&B could just hide in the base.
Yeah, that's not really a winning play here. You know, I think just right now, Hydronation corralling their opponents in the base. Leffa happily farming, pushing waves out elsewhere, going to get some free jungle camps. And Hydronation, I mean, this is still, you got to remember, this is still early in the game. We're only 23 minutes in. They don't need to end with this rejuve. There's a lot of jungle to clear. You've got the global presence from Mirage, so you can really comfortably get that jungle done. And, you know, the lead is only going to grow from here. You could get to that 50K lead and really get some key items online. As yet, look at this, all this jungle camps on your side of the map. And then there's that 25-minute buff coming up. I think that will probably be a bit of a go time for Hydronation, as it looks like they're content to let the rejuve expire potentially.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think that's probably one of the best things that they can do, or the highest like EV plays they can do. Because if they were to try to fight the opponents at their base and they can't get any traction, they're just kind of wasting time that they could have otherwise been farming and getting further ahead. So makes sense to play like that. And B&B, you know, as that rejuve starts to expire, might be considering coming out finally. But again, it just really sucks when you're stuck in the base. You don't really have options. And Hydronation can have at your jungle like whatever they want.
And this is the downside of like this passive position in the base. Like, yes, I can understand it. Like, if you go fight on the map, maybe it's like 80 or 90% that you're going to lose the game right away. But I think sitting in the base may be worse than that. You know, it's like a tough call to make. Do you bite the bullet and take a really low chance to make a comeback clutch play? Or do you just bleed out slowly? Because I feel like choosing to bleed out slowly, you know, now at least now Rejuve's down, right? Like, this is the moment. This is the moment. You have to make a play. Rejuve's down. If not now, when?
If not now, when? There's the lasso. Gibbs pulling into the shelter, so that's an insta kill on Flick.
They're taking the fight.
It looks very valuable. That's a nice pick off to get, but you have used that big frozen shelter. Are they able to convert on the rest of the team fight here? They are down 20-30K in the overall souls, but is that going to make a difference here as they battling it out? B&B bringing everyone to this one. Another kill going their way. Calc going down. That's a good pick off to get. Ido's very weak. So is Peer Content. They're on the rope at the moment, B&B, but they are keeping these players up for the numbers advantage as they're chasing down these kills. Definitely a good look at the moment. The melee's coming in. Rokane gets taken out. Some of those trades now finally finishing off the multitude of weakened players for B&B. And there are just more. 3 more weak players. Everyone's getting low right now. It's just Hydration that has any health at all. Even Letha has some health here, but the Ishi shifter will keep him alive for a little bit longer, and it's going to be Hydronation coming out on top in this fight. There's not much left here now for B&B.
Poppers splitting across the map, gave up on that fight, chose to just try to take this walker down. Not a crazy concept, but he's getting TP'd on by Letha. And I think if he gets caught here, it's going to cost him his life. Has used the flight, limited on the escape mobility right now. And of course, you know, Flick is there off the respawn. Died early in the last fight, but is going to make the most of the situation. Getting that clear on GT, and oh, wait, hold on. GT gets double walker, though. Slipped in on that 1 HP mid walker with the creeps there to help. But it's a full team wipe, and those spawns are all up for Hydronation, who have full map control right now. Rocker's taking the base. He's going to get a couple base guardians down. Probably going to have to back off after that, though.
Doesn't actually feel like, I mean, all things considered, it probably could have been a lot worse. Like, they got some value. Like, the 2 walkers is kind of crazy, especially given the fact that, you know, that's going to help, you know, get that extra flex slot online and just...
And, I mean, I think killing Flick first is actually the best possible kill, because he's not the tankiest hero in the world, so you can burst him reasonably quickly with that holiday lasso. And at the same time, I think he probably is top damaging based on how he's done the last few games. Maybe Leffa is doing more damage this game. Leffa is like so farmed to Mirage. Surely he's doing more damage, but Flick is, you know, just like such a high impact team fight hero. There's the silences, the swaps. He gets so many cooldowns off in these fights and just does so much gun damage in his own right.
That's very true. Yeah, Flick is kind of crazy on that paradox. Now, B&B, everybody's up again.
Headed to Broadway.
37K soul difference. Hate to see that if you are B&B. And here comes Flick. Looking to get that kinetic carbine connected, but doesn't find its target.
Nice juke by Poppers. Jukes out away from the escape path to avoid that swap. But every attempt is just, you know, sort of free for Hydronation. They take a shot, okay, it fails, they back off, they reset the cooldowns, they have map control. B&B, very passive, very defensive in the base. Need to find these big team fight plays, but it's so difficult to do.
Well, the mid boss is coming up. That's a way that Hydronation could force a team fight, or at least they could bait a team fight. They could try to get the scream of the mid boss and then, you know, position themselves in anticipation of their opponents trying to set up for a steal or a play. You know, there's a variety of ways that the mid boss will force action here that could benefit Hydronation, because yeah, it doesn't seem like they're super comfortable just pushing straight into the base without some kind of a pick first.
Yeah, I mean, they are going to forcing the mid boss here is, I think, a little bit risky, but then again, you do have a pretty solid 40k soul lead. You know, there's something to be said, but they could also, I think, force a roar here and then look for a team fight. Conceptually, I don't hate that idea, especially with the lanes not being in such a dominant position. And there, oh, E-shift on GT blocks the combo, but Hydration is in.
Yeah, looking for that setup outside, and it's looking pretty damn good. E-shift there on left, but to keep himself alive after that initial pick onto peer content. That's the big frozen shoulder out of the picture, and this mid boss is going to be guaranteed now at this point. And you know, if the last one broke their back, I mean, this next mid boss is going to just wipe B&B just off the face of the planet. There is nothing left after this.
And it's already half. They've already gotten it low. I mean, Rocker down is something, but I mean, I don't even think it's realistic to attempt to steal here. Fishcake is coming in close. He might go for like a full-on YOLO steal here, but this just should never work. Rokane might be greedy and try to not use his ulti on securing the steal. Hold on. Let's fight as well in the side lanes. Lepa is very farmed, though. I feel like this is an impossible fight with just how the raw stats here on the Mirage. E-shift delaying the inevitable for Ido. And Rejuve all's well, went to Hydronation. Also, Fishcake gave his life attempting that steal. I mean, honestly, this should just be game, Dan. Like, this is a position that you should really never lose from Hydronation. They're such a good team, man. They're back in form, dominating North America.
Yeah, nothing to do here but to win with that advantage with the Rejuve. That'll push every lane, so it's going to be an easy walk. Red carpet is rolled all the way up straight outside the front door of B&B. And the patron. So just, you know, just cleaning up these, you know, final remaining little pieces, this final urn. That's also going to bring them close to their opponent's base as the lanes are kind of concurrently getting pushed everywhere. So everything is set up now for the final blow against B&B into the base.
And I don't even think you can fight the urn down too. Like, as much as you kind of want to, it's like, I just don't think you can without without 6 players, you can't do a damn thing. I don't know if you can even get a single pick off without your entire squad ready to help for B&B. And Hydra Nation know it. I mean, they're back. They're a team that can take a tough loss in game 1, a weird cheese strat, and they don't tilt. They change very little. They make some minor adaptations, and they have a lot of confidence in the squad. They all trust each other. We talked about this, heard from Calc that, like, you know, Hydration makes a call, everybody listens. And it seems that faith was not lost. A swap on a great talent. That's so much of your damage for B&B and Hydra Nation coming to claim the trophy, coming to claim the cash prize. Fishcake in with the detonation, with the B&B players' health bars dropping so quick. Yamato willing to take the fight into the frozen shelter. Total confidence from Rokane.
Yeah, so much damage here into the base. Everybody's getting pushed back. There's like nothing that they can do. Fishcake going down. Just oppressive damage, oppressive forces here from Hydronation as they just clean up the buildings. And this is it. This is the final run. This is the victory sprint coming in from Hydronation as they just destroy every single building they can possibly get their hands on as they look to take the title here once again. I mean, everyone's getting absolutely wrecked. I mean, you're going to get 20 seconds off of your respawns, but the respawns are pretty long at this point.
Everyone's full HP on Hydronation. They didn't really take damage in that last fight. This game is done. It's a wrap. Transfer the cash, baby. Hydronation, look at that patron go.
And there we have it. Once again, Hydronation, after a little scare, they are going to be the victors of Deadlock Fight Night, number 21 for our North American region. And I mean, they did it as they always do, with great fundamentals, great class, and they lost the first map. And honestly, B&B, like, big respect to how they accomplished that. They had a great strategy, they drafted for it, and they executed it really well against a great team. There's a lot to be said for that, but still, the difference between Hydra Nation and the rest in North America is still quite great, as it would appear.
Or, as Ido would have said at the very end there, Dan, Ido had just very succinct words to say, which was GG Mo. Mo did have 100% win rate in our NA money match, but also so did Viper. Like, the not very deep analysis, but simply the facts. Yes.
And, I think you got to give a lot of respect to Hydra Nation, not only the players, but the coaching staff, like how quick they are to recognize and fix problems. I think that's easy to look at from the outside, but it's very hard to do that with confidence after something like game one happens to you. There's a lot of strong teams in esports who take a tough loss to a weird strat in a game one of a best of 3 and kind of crumble from there, and the other team gets the upper hand. And with Hydra Nation, no, they make some quick, relatively subtle adaptations, and the series is remarkably one-sided. Like, if you saw the last 2 games of that best of 3, you would not have believed game one. I think if you missed game one, it's something worth going back and watching. It was an incredible one. Out of B&B, they really show that they can compete at this top level. But man, Hydra Nation, I'm not going to be betting against them much. Maybe I should have bet against them in game one, but I have no regrets. Masterful performance out of the squad.
Yeah, you take a look at the stats here, Dan, and it is, pretty much as expected. The Rocker also, I feel like Rocker on the Sinclair has been secretly a low-key, high carry for Hydra Nation, just making Sinclair look really good. Where, maybe at some level we have to reevaluate where we put Sinclair, because, we're a little bit down on him, but Sinclair, whether it be an NA or EU, came in very, very strong today.
Yeah, I think teams have finally started to figure out how to actually use Sinclair correctly, and he is really strong in every stage of the game. And I think that's like the most important thing, figuring out where is he strong, how does he fit into a draft, so you don't pick another hero that essentially you're kind of stepping on the toes of Sinclair. Like, understanding how you min-max in that way, teams are finally starting to, I think, get a beat on that. We saw that with one win, also winning with Sinclair, with great play there too. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how we move into next week, how Sinclair is going to be viewed in the bans. But we've got our MVP coming up here, presented by Intel ZP. Who did you pick?
There's a lot of options you have gone with, but one that we kind of talked about not getting their flowers as often as I should, it's got to be Flick for our player of the match presented by Intel. And look, whenever Hydra Nation needs a playmaker, whenever they have Paradox open, it makes sense in their draft, who do they go to? They go to Flick, where Flick not only gets great pickoffs with the swap over and over again, no matter what the game state is, even when Hydra Nation is behind, but, as we pointed out, and looking at post-damage breakdowns, Flick gets some of the highest damage off on a Paradox that we've seen in the game. Just very consistent, very high damage output for a Paradox. It's like not only playmaking, but also at times outright carrying these fights, Jake.
Yeah, just a ridiculous performance out of Flick, especially the fact that in game one, where they lost, it was difficult, B&B was playing really well, Flick still has monster stats. That was, for me, really impressive. That's something I look for in a lot of esports, is like, yes, in an environment where your team is winning, everything's going super well, a lot of players at this level can have big games and can look amazing. But when your team is struggling, when things are going against you, it's the players who shine in that moment that really impress me, who deliver when maybe no one else on the team can, and they're kind of making a lot of opportunities on their own. That's something that really impresses me, that I really take note of. And Flick is just a great example of that, especially when he gets the signature Paradox. It's just a treat to watch.
Yeah, it's honestly interesting how low key Flick has been. You kind of have to really just I think it was Calc, I think, that first said, hey, guys, Flick do you notice that he just top damages every game almost with Paradox? It's like, hang on, let's just look at the context of that when you're on a team with Letha and Hydration and Evercane, and so it's like, okay, this is definitely a lot to this, and given as you guys have mentioned the importance of Paradox, and also I think what's interesting, which is how contested that spot was for a long time. Oftentimes you ban the Paradox or you first pick it. Now you have the Holiday to kind of obscure that, and so to have Paradox as this go-to behind the Holiday, I think gives them a lot of strength in the draft, and to have someone play it so well is huge. And here we can see once again the balance has been restored, and Hydronation once again take the dub.
the heads of Hydra Nation definitely, they had that period where it was between like weeks 15 and 15 to 18, or rather 15 to 17, where things looked a little bit rough for Hydra Nation, but they were able to recover it. And that was also about the time that the map changed, where Hydra Nation, when the map went from 4 lanes to 3 lanes, they did not look good. We saw Hydration look poor for the first time ever in a game. And then, Jake, they brought things back around and be like, hey, teaming up Lefa and Hydration in the same lane, that seems like a pretty good idea. Let's run with that.
Yeah, I think it actually fits pretty well with Calc mentioning that the team is like really trusts Hydration's calls and really like follows him, when he says something. And then you got a player like Lefa who seems to not talk much and focuses on his own game and like plays for that like solo carry role. I think that's a nice match, you can have in a team where you've got like not everybody needs to be a main caller for a team to be successful. Sometimes there's players who work better letting other people take that role, and vice versa. Players who are more comfortable, being a leader position, whether that's in terms of leading the fights themselves or being self-sacrificial and understanding what their team is getting out of those trades. But regardless, Hydra Nation, they put something together that has been really impressive. They have a lot of resilience as a squad. It's super exciting to watch them each week. I am very curious to see some of the other teams coming up in NA where it's been very competitive. Who else can take a shot at Hydra Nation? Who else can take a map off them? Because as much as it was like a strat I've never seen before in game 1 of B&B, you can't take it away from them. They managed to make it work, like constantly split pushing, constantly taking buildings. I have not seen it executed at the highest level in Deadlock, but they got it. They got it done. They got the win. It took them a couple very risky rejuve steals, but they made it happen.
Well, we actually have Hydration, who's going to be coming on the line here for an interview, and I think that's going to be one of the first questions I ask. Hydration, congrats. You guys, you're back into winning ways. You got another streak, but this time you actually dropped a map. Like, how was that first map for you guys? It looks very uncomfortable to play against that style from B&B.
So just like last week where we gave LARP Lords Mo and Krill, we wanted to test our enemies to see if they could win with Mo and Krill. And unlike LARP Lords, who couldn't beat us with Mo and Krill while we had a sub, these guys managed to do it. So props to them, even though it took 2 rejuve steals, but...
Okay, so, we're coming in with a little bit of Mo-centered gameplay here. And look, I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid open. When, when the series concluded and B&B lost, Ido had only these words to say. They said, GG Mo. So, obviously EU didn't value Mo as much this week. From the NA perspective, is it the team that's playing Mo, or is it Mo the character that's just over the top right now? Your thoughts on the current power level of Mo in this version of Deadlock?
I think it's player-based, because, Mo's kind of hard mechanically, because that might sound like a joke, right? But it's kind of like Winston in Overwatch, where you have to play the sight lines in lane. You have to make sure you're not taking all this damage, and people just don't know how to play it. So they think it's bad. They think you can get bullied in lane, and it's like the opposite.
I think the laning has looked really strong in the Mo, especially like you mentioned, for players who really understand it. I'm curious how you think about sort of the later game style for Mo. I felt in game 1, B&B were making a lot of hiding plays on the lane with Mo, where they're baiting people in the lane and Mo's hiding around a corner. What is it like to play against in game 1, where you're thinking you're going for plays, and then there's heroes like Mo and Kelvin turning around on the small numbers engagements?
Yeah, it's just heroes like Mo, Holiday, Paradox. When they have too many of those, you just feel so scared to go anywhere, because you just get picked and you just die, and it starts snowballing from there. And that's kind of how we felt for the first game. We couldn't really push out our waves, and then we were hanging on there, but the rejuve steals kind of cemented that, and especially because Gibbs was able to combo me right before I was going for Warpstone Singularity on the rejuve. So if Mo didn't exist in that game, we would have got that second rejuve and the game would have been completely different.
Well, I'm going to switch gears in the question here, because you guys are obviously the GOATs of the North American region. You've won so many DFNs at this point. But how do you think, if you guys were at LAN, how do you think you would stack up against the top EU competition, 1win, VP, and as a bonus as well? What do you think also of those teams? Do you guys watch them? Do you get inspired by how they play the game at all?
Yeah, I watched them a lot, and I think 1win right now is really good. They actually draft correctly, and like VP, I don't know, like if they're like sandbagging for like a LAN or something, because like their drafts are just like horrendous.
It's kind of funny. It's like, are they sandbagging for LAN? The VP drafts have been a little bit off the wall. You know, you wonder how much is experimentation versus how much trying to find their footing. But you know, one thing for Hydra Nation, you guys have been out there, you're looking for a sponsor and, you know, trying to get your name out there. You know, this is kind of the floor is yours before we wrap things up here. Anything you want to say to fans, people watching, or, you know, a sponsor that just happens to be around, say, as to why they should look into Hydra Nation in the future?
Yeah, I mean, how many Deadlock Fight Nights have we won so far? It's like 15, 16? Like, that's a lot. And, you know, shout out to all the fans and shout out to my team. You know, we've been, like, this iteration that we've been together for about a month now, and we're pretty solid, I'd say. Pretty solid. And shout out to the coaching staff and manager, too.
Awesome. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, take it away, ZP.
No, I was gonna say, if you had any other thoughts, yeah, by all means, but the floor is yours.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I got.
Well, I think it's good to hear from you. Congrats again. I'm sure that the winning ways will continue. It still seems like there's a pretty big gap in the competition. But yeah, thanks for joining us, Hydration. Congrats to everything that you guys have been doing, and we'll see you next week, I'm sure. And for everybody else out there watching DFN, remember, you can always check our merch store if you want to get more connected into the experience of DFN. Here it gives you a winning advantage. These are some of the current new designs that we have. I think the Ernest is still my favorite. I don't know about you guys, but the Ernest is definitely a buff.
Ern goes crazy. I gotta say, yeah, for our sponsors looking at Hydronation, I mean, it's hard to look more than you know, look for more rather than a team that just constantly wins trophies and puts your team's logo on that winning spot. And I feel like this Hydronation squad might have some staying power, especially in North America and even potentially on the global stage, with a lot of these players, to me, looking super strong with like a lot of experience across the genre of FPS and MOBA. So, you know, I think the rest of NA is going to struggle to catch up. And while EU has been super competitive, and I think it's a great shout out that one win has kind of risen to the top as of late, super interested to see if there's going to be more new contenders in NA. Like last week, we got to see some new squads coming in, and I'm just excited to see more new players showing their face. I felt like John had a great game. Even though they lost in the Challenger match, I was still impressed by his play. And I'm just excited to see new faces in Deadlock Fight Night from all around the world, from North America, from Europe.
What's your final takeaways, DP?
Yeah, my final takeaway is that I've been really happy with NA, where I feel like we've kind of done the, you know, a reversal of things, where EU at one point was very dynamic with a whole bunch of competitive teams, and EU right now is just kind of consolidated to a power 3 with other teams, you know, trying to get back into it, especially after Pajala Escambria sort of, you know, went to the wayside, at least for now. But NA, I mean, look, we got a lot of stories here, whether it be the 3 teams that played today, other teams weighing the wings like TF2 Boomers or, you know, GBG, right? Like, honestly, the future feels bright on the NA side, and, you know, Hydra Nation may be on top for now. I do think BNB showed flashes of life here today, and, you know, we'll see how things evolve in the future. But for me, I was pretty entertained with the results today.
Amazing. The future feels bright. We'll see you guys next week for more DFN action. Make sure to tell your friends, and we'll see you then.